Hello! Hello, one and all. Apparently I'm live. Let's see. Oh, sunny Seattle. Kim is in sunny Seattle. It's been far too warm here. Anyway, let's go through the chat. Hello, Kim. Hello, Renee. Hello, Jonathan. Who else do we have? Carol. Hello. Peter. Graham. Good evening to you, Graham. Are you tempted by one of those iMacs? Do let me know.
You're live.
4 inches of snow. Oh, wow.
After bad words were said.
After bad words were said, I'm live. Yeah, do you know, it's Friday night. YouTube's like, yeah, I can't be bothered. But we've persuaded it and it's fine. Right, let's carry on. Deb and Debbie. Oh, all the Debs. Oh, no, we're a Deb missing, aren't we? We're going to be a Deb missing. Isn't Deborah at work?
She is.
Oh, no.
Aussie Deborah.
We'll have to redefine the Debs to be a duo and not a trio. Oh, a trio. No, Michael Singh, don't do that. Hello, Stephen. And who else do we have? Oh, quickly going through it. I think I'm sorted. I hope I've not forgotten anybody. But if I have, then shout at me. Shout at me. Oh, we have 2 Carol L's, do we? Oh, did I miss a Carol? I think I've missed a Carol. Hello, Carol. There's Carol. Yeah, we do have 2 Carol L's. Oh, that can make up for the one Deb that we're missing. Excellent. And hello, Terry. We have a Terry. Good evening to you. Right, it's been a busy old week. Oh, has it been a busy week, Mike? Oh, it has indeed. You are not going to want to miss the week at MacBites headquarters, where insanity has reigned. So, just so I can make sure that I've got the chat and everything, I'm going to do judicious things in terms of switching things. And fingers crossed, everything will be fine. We shall find out if everything's fine, of course. Right. Slide is ready. It's the mouse pointer that's the thing, isn't it? Plays with my mind on a regular basis, does the mouse pointer. And it's moved on already, see what I mean? Right. I think we're nearly there. Are we there? No, you're lying to me. Now we're there. Right, let's see how that works. So I can see the chat and everything else as well. Right, so far so good. But of course I do actually need to move things. And that's when it all starts to go south. So, hello and welcome officially. While we move on, what we're doing. We have got the week at MacBites headquarters. As I've said, you will not want to miss it. It has been indescribable. Then I've got behind the scenes of the Rome Book Club, because I've had so many people say, this book club thing, what happens? What's it all about? And we've got Carol with us as well, who is in book club. So I'm sure Carol can help as well. Then there's been an update to DEVONthink 3.7, which is all about Markdown. Handy coming to that from Rome, isn't it? Which is also good with Markdown. Then we've got creating graphics and how to do it fast. Mike is continuing with his infographics. He's having a ball with his infographics. Can I just say, while it's public,
Yes, it was your idea.
It was my idea with the infographics.
Yes, most things are.
And then we've got Mastering the macOS Finder, which was also requested. I think it started, didn't it, with Tony. And then everybody jumped on the bandwagon with yes. Oh, have we found some fun with the macOS Finder. In particular, I've managed to solve a problem that's been kicking around for the best part of a year, I think. And it was just like, yeah, that doesn't work, so I'll leave it be. Anyway, because I had to look at it with a view to showing you guys, it's like, I really should try and fix that. And I did, and I fixed it. And I'd love to be able to show it you not working, but once you've fixed it, you can't break it again. Which is good, but highly unusual. Anyway, and then we do have a bit of an unboxing. If I'm being honest, we are unboxing it, but it's not in an Amazon box. It's already been decamped from the Amazon box, but it is actually in a box. And it's something inexpensive that you might want. So, a good unboxing then. No, it's not an iMac of any description or colour. Right, of course, we broadcast in 1080p. Let me know in the chat what it's done to you this week. My lowest this week was 480 on an iPad. So it was all it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Right, so we do broadcast in 1080p. You can get to 1080p from the cog in the lower right-hand side. And here we go. I've just remembered that I've forgotten to do something. I knew this would happen. Okay, I know what I've forgotten to do. So what I'm going to do is just do the next bit and then we'll catch up with that. Right, there is one thing I need to do or it's not going to end well. Right, while you're down there in the cog on the right-hand side, could you give us a like? Because it really makes a difference. And YouTube's been playing with our mind the last 2 weeks, hasn't it, Mike? Tell them what YouTube's been doing.
What's YouTube been doing?
You know what YouTube's
taking away
doing.
likes.
Yes.
Yes.
During the show, we get to a certain point and it's like, oh, we've got 15 likes, we've got 20 likes. And then afterwards, we come in and it's like, where did 5 of those likes go? And they've totally and utterly disappeared. Right. I've actually done that. I wasn't aware I'd done that. Okay, I'm not forgetting something. I've already done it. Can you tell what kind of week it's been? Right, let's get back where we were. In there, and we'll carry on. Right, because we're starting the week at MacBites headquarters, if I can find my mouse pointer. There we go, I've got my mouse pointer. Right, so it all started on Saturday. Now, you know what it's like at MacBites headquarters. Chaotic all of the time. To give this next piece some context, I need to take you back to January, when Mike was out walking with Lola and found a chicken on the pub wall. Few days later, he found another one, only this time it was a mother and child reunion. There were 2 chickens on the wall. Fast forward about 6 weeks, and a cooked chicken wing landed in the garden. You'll doubtless, if you were with us, remember that, because we had all the security cameras out looking for where it came from. Turned out to be dropped by a bird. The day after, there were 6 eggs outside the house that people decided to throw around. So what could we top that with? What are we missing from a full English, you ask? Well, this week, tomato. Just outside. I think we live in a parallel universe. In fact, sometimes I wish we lived in a parallel universe because it just gets more idiotic by the second. And if you think that's bad, hang on for later in the week. But Saturday was 9 show Saturday and we had a complete ball. Then after that we did Marooned, and then at 8 o'clock we went into possibly a tricky one at Brooklands by request. The theme was chemical elements. We weren't stuck, were we? There were thousands. Some claimed that they were tenuous, but they were not. No. Mike and the Mechanics. Mike Rutherfordium. Europe, the final countdown, European. Then there was Californianum. So we had an absolute blast. It was brilliant. Which took us to Sunday. On Sunday, it started so well with the football on Sunday, which, is good in itself, isn't it? But it did. It started well. There was a victory. From that point, when the final whistle blew, it was like, well, how could it go bad? But it did. Very late on Sunday night, this happened. They suggested a Super League. In fact, United were part of said Super League, weren't they, Mike? For all of 5 minutes, because the proverbial hit the fan. And in true English football style, they think it's all over. It is now. So that Super League lasted for, I think it was 23 and a half hours. And United were all involved at that point, but then it was all sorted. So don't worry about that. It all went away. Chaotic. Poor Mike. Honestly, I've never seen fan power like it. And Mike and I have been involved in a couple of things like that, haven't we, with takeovers that we didn't want to happen. And it took a long and often bloody fight for it not to happen. One went to a government review, didn't it? Yeah. Which went our way because Peter Mandelson had been naughty. Anyway, it worked well. But this one didn't take 5 minutes. The fans reared up and that was the end of that. While that was happening, I was in book club. I'm focusing on the How to Take Smart Notes one again. But this week was a bit of a dilemma. Because the week before, I was able to keep my eye on it and do what I actually wanted to do, which was watch the only programme worth watching on TV, which was Line of Duty. Line of Duty, unfortunately, is at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, and it's bang in the middle of book club. I think we need to take an hour's hiatus in book club, to be honest. It's that important. But what I did was a time-shifted book club. Naughty me. But I watched Line of Duty. Can't not watch Line of Duty, be honest. Monday, and in a complete change to the usual food-related detritus spread liberally on the streets of our hometown, what is it this time? I'd love to stop and let you all have a guess at what it is, but I won't waste time. This was Mike with Lola out for her morning walk. Lola, less than impressed. This was the sight that greeted them. There's nothing like a quiet start to the week at MacBites headquarters, is there? And there's never an opportunity to ease yourself gently into the week, especially because the next thing on Monday, so after we'd recovered from that, I've not seen the other half of the car yet, it was a very important day. It was Marooned's day 400. How unbelievable is that? We managed 400 episodes. I don't think Jonathan thought that would ever happen with any MacBites show, did he? But there you go. In fact, Jonathan was talking about 500, and I do think 800 was mentioned, wasn't it? Yeah, there's pressure right there. Anyway, we obviously reminisced about all the previous shows, so it was wall-to-wall lady pipes and kayaks in celebration of the great event. And if you've no idea why we would be talking about wall-to-wall lady pipes and kayaks, you need to join us on a Marooned one night. It's more than a giggle, let's just say that. Which took us to Tuesday, usually. Fairly quiet day, not much doing. Oh, there was this time. It was 3-show Tuesday. We had our Marooned 3 hours early. Then we had our MacBites Live. And then we went into the coverage of the grand event, the spring-loaded event. Oh, expectations were so high. New iMacs, got to be, surely. A new design after 12 years, got to be. We were giddy with anticipation. There had been many suggestions as to what these new, beautiful iMacs would look like. Something like that would have really floated my boat. Or even the more industrial look. I could have lived with it. We were being teased left and right. Pretty. No chin. Beautiful. Then, into our life a little rain had to fall. Yeah, colours. Not quite, but by comparison to what we ended up with, these weren't actually that bad. At least there was a space grey option, and look at the back of them. They had ports and everything. Actual ports. The one that I looked at and thought that's the one was this one, this mock-up. I thought, the one on the right, that's my baby. Oh, come to mummy. And then this happened. Oh dear. Actually, the backs look better than the fronts, because the front's not good. There's the pastel. Worse than that, or very cleverly positioned. You can see from that photo, we've got side saddle audio jack. Yeah, sharp jumped apple. No, that won't work for me. But possibly in a very clever way to distract us from the horrific sight that we had, was how it was actually introduced, which was by a lady in a denim Andy Pandy suit, toting a power stance. We've seen that very stance many times before. I think she thinks she's Wonder Woman, but that stance has been hijacked by a political party in the UK. Yeah, she thinks she's Wonder Woman. All we can think of is our previous Prime Minister. And didn't he work at the Home Office, this geezer? It's known in the UK as the Tory power stance. You basically have to stand there doing the splits. So if you're ever going to announce anything, don't do that. Because we just spent the entire hour giggling about it. Don't do that. Anyway, thankfully, Tuesday drew to a close. So we went into Wednesday, and of course, it was the first Marooned at MacBites headquarters where we were discussing everything that had happened. So we were going live. We were having a show. Nobody, not a single one of you, noticed the little error. I might have to point out the little error. I thought, when this had finished and Mike said, was that deliberate? I said, no, that wasn't deliberate. But guys, come on. I know it probably feels like that, but it wasn't actually day 4012. For reference, it was 402. And my backspace key was clearly taking a holiday, but not one of you noticed. I would have expected young Jonathan or Tracy to be on that, wouldn't you? Absolutely on it, but no. Definitely not happening. Ah, my word. Right, now this is it. This was Wednesday. This was Wednesday. This is the big thing of the week. You're wondering. That is very close to us, about 50 yards up the road. That is somewhere that we have actually been. It's a pub, but it also is, it's a gastropub. You're wondering about the police, aren't you? And there's only 2 cars there, but it was an afternoon drinking session gone wrong. There was a mass brawl. It involved 7 police cars, a police van, and an ambulance. The pub was forced to close. Lola was less than impressed with all this happening during her walk time. However, she was much more interested as details emerged that the brawl involved a boot full of drugs found in a car park at the Tesco's next door to the pub. And during said brawl, somebody had their ear bitten off. Lola has been on the hunt for said ear ever since. No luck so far, but living here, it's only a matter of time before a bird flies past and deposits it in the garden. What I did find so funny with the covert agent's photo, that was Mike, didn't want to be seen to be taking pictures of police who were illegally parked, if you don't mind me just adding that. But the funny thing in that photo is, have you looked on the right? There's a lovely little white terrier, and he's far more interested in Lola than the rest of the fracas. Luckily, both Mike and Lola return unscathed, but it was a close thing. Told you, just gets worse here, doesn't it? Mass brawl, ear bitten off. Oh, and a boot full of drugs. Which took us to Thursday. Lola spent Thursday recovering, as did we. Look at her. She obviously has a bed there, a very expensive leather-edged bed. Can't be bothered. She's also got a sun shield, but she decided the sofa was preferable, but only after supervising the blanket deployment, which had to be just right or she wasn't going there at all. Which took us on to today, which in the UK is St George's Day. So if you're in the UK, happy St George's Day to you. Lola by this stage had decided she was still in a recline position and recovering, but she decided her own bed was good enough. She was guarding the entire supply of drinking water at MacBites headquarters, on the right, the fresh towels, just recently laundered by Mike, and most importantly, on the left-hand side, brown boxes, they're the iMac boxes from the new toys. So she guarded everything so well. She's in there, that's our extension. She's in there downstairs because it's been very warm, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. And she wants to be near the garden. She wants to be in the garden like Mark Williams the other week. Anyway, that takes us to obviously I would say the most important update of the week, but it would be possibly but for the mass brawl. It's a close run thing. It's Conegate, week 7 update. If you'll recall, week 4, the cone had parted from its brethren, but by week 5 it was back together. Not moved a millimetre for week 6. But brace yourselves. This week is week 7, and it was action stations. It was quite scary. Things were moving. They actually started some work, believe it or not. This was when they rolled up to actually do it. But first job of the day, obviously with work people, I won't say workmen, work people, is going to get supplies. And if you look at it, that one was heading off for supplies. Came back toting 2 ice creams, and then they've had a break for lunch. You couldn't make this up. Once they'd had lunch, because by this stage, traffic jams were happening, pavements were blocked, and cars were stuck. Obviously, at this stage, only one car. Eventually, the guy with the ice creams returned, but if you notice, he returned from the other way. We think he got lost, and hence having the phone in his hand. So the shops are about 400 yards away. And he got lost on the way back. Anyway, they did actually do something, but they didn't finish the job. No. They then left it looking like that. So the cone and its brethren had acquired more brethren. And there was a temporary cover put on whatever it was they were doing. So work in progress, but not exactly what you'd call finished. Fear not, though. The supervisor arrived and kept them on their toes. She inspected proceedings very, very closely. And then live during a Marooned at MacBites headquarters. Told you couldn't make this up. Live during a Marooned at MacBites headquarters, they arrived to steal all the plastic work and stuff. The pavement looks like a bomb's hit it. They did get cleared up a fraction, but not much, to be honest. But covert agent Mike headed out to investigate because there was this noise, and then managed to get the finished job. You hardly notice they've been there, do you? Note the sarcasm. It stands out like a sore thumb. And I think they're probably going to be coming back as well. Nobody has any idea what they were doing and why. They just came and disappeared again. At which point, Wendy arrived, but insisted that she see the dog before she left. What did you call her? Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea.
I'm just having a look on Facebook to see if there's any updates.
On Eargate?
Yeah. Got stuck on Manor Avenue around 3:20. Looked like a murder inquiry.
It did. That's what I said about Simon's murder board. You know, there were 7 police cars, a van, and an ambulance. So yes, there was. It was busy. But anyway, it's 2-show Friday. So after all that fun and games, aren't you exhausted? Yeah, I hope you are, because I am. This happens to me every week, and all I'm trying to do is get on and do some work. Right, let's have a look then at book club. Right, every week, with a little bit of a gap between book club versions, for the last over 6 months, I think, I've mentioned book club on a Sunday night when I do book club. Right, book club is in Rome research. So the book at the moment that I'm doing is How to Take Smart Notes. There's actually 2 versions of the book club running. Now, how it came about, Rome is pretty much a note-taking app, and it's for linked thinking. Let's just say linked thinking. So I've talked about Rome before. It was a year ago, and it was after hour 67. And I took you through what Rome was and actually showed you Rome. But to be honest, to get the most out of it and understand it, you really need to use Rome rather than just talk about using Rome. Right, so when it came out, it was, it's an Evernote killer. No, it's not necessarily. Same, you can do different things with Evernote than you can Rome. So I don't agree with all this, it's an X killer. The next thing people were screaming was, it's a OneNote killer. It's a Notion killer. No, it's its own thing. But most people seem to want one app that does it all. That would make them a man with a hammer, to which everything looks like a nail. How I approach this, because you guys know that I use Notion extensively. I have used OneNote, I don't use it anymore. I still use Evernote, but not in any meaningful way. So how I look at it is, you need more than one tool. Will there ever be one tool that will be absolutely everything? I honestly don't know, but I don't think so. Because where, for example, Notion excels at managing multiple items in a database, there's other ones that don't do that. But if I wanted to clip something, Evernote's got a great clipper. So I think of it as a range of tools. These are the ones that are what I would say are primary to me. So the first thing that I have is Drafts. Drafts is a macOS application and iOS. And it's basically like a text-based inbox. It's really fast to get something into Drafts. And what I mean by that is, you tap the icon, you type, that's it. You do not need to create a new file, name the file, save the file, put the file somewhere else, transfer the file, you just type, and that's it. I don't think you could get faster for capture than Drafts. So I know we've had plenty of discussions about applications and also requests for can you do drafts, and I will do drafts. The only thing that's stopping me at the moment is it's a live system. It's got all kinds of data in it, so I will cover drafts, but that's what I use to capture mainly. I use it on iOS, so you will find it in the dock of my iPhone and in the dock of my iPad. And anything that I just want to quickly type up, ring Fred, buy bread, anything like that, just type it in. The trick with it is to approach the inbox on a daily basis and then put it where it needs to live. which takes us on to the core applications. Those are the applications where those brief notes would go. They're fleeting notes, really, but we won't get into Zettelkasten language. It'll freak you out. So the ones in the middle are indeed the core notes. So Notion, I would say, is my primary one, but it's touch and go between that and Roam. Roam I consider to be personal. Although you can multiplayer Roam, which we'll look at with the book club, it's really intended to be a personal thing. You are intended to have a conversation with your system, and then your system becomes your partner in your endeavours to create content. However, if I had to manage all that I manage with just Roam, I lose my mind. Because some of the stuff that I manage is very predictable. So shows like Marooned, you're talking 7 shows a week, and each show will have a title, a duration, it will have a location of a file name, and it will have random notes that are put in there before the show or after the show, depending. So that's best in Notion because that's structured information. But the kind of thinking about it, random notes, turning something into maybe an article is probably going to happen in Roam. The reason that Craft is sat at the bottom is purely because Notion was down for hours. Notion has not really had anything in the way of meaningful updates in over 2 months. They are supposedly working on the API for the end of spring, which I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, it's sprung. But even then, it's only going to be a public beta. Because of that, there have been days when Notion is down. There was one where Mike was trying to put some data into something, and he did it and it didn't work, and he did it again, it didn't work, and he did it again. And then I said, you know what, Mike, leave it till tomorrow, it'll be fine. When he came back to it tomorrow, he opened the page and the data was in there 3 times. So it was a good job I stopped him when I did, to be honest. So Notion has some kind of issues, and I can't have that happening when I'm presenting a live show on a Friday night and I've got no access to Notion. I could use Roam for that, and I did think of using that, and then I thought, but the problem with that is Roam 2 is in the cloud. Because I've got a subscription to Roam, I'm on the Believers plan. I can make a local graph, which just means local data. But then that would be on one machine and I might want it on another machine and so forth. Craft downloads everything when you start working. And if you lose your internet connection, it just lets you carry on working. You can add, you can edit, you can do whatever you need. So that was when Craft came into it. But I don't easily add something to the core because the more apps there are to manage and the more places I'm putting data, the longer it takes to actually get anything done. Then there's a few other applications, but 2 of the main ones are Evernote and Bear, which I'm calling utility applications. And we saw this when we wanted to take data from, now where were we taking it? We were taking data from Evernote and we were trying to put it into Craft. And Craft doesn't speak Evernote and Evernote doesn't speak Craft. So straight away we had a problem. But Bear speaks both Evernote and it speaks Craft. So that was fantastic. That solved the problem. It acted as the translator. And what that looked like was I exported from Evernote to Emacs format, imported the Emacs into Bear, and then exported it from Bear into Craft. So I have those applications there for situations like that. They are utility applications. But the core of my system is the 3 in the middle, which was what led me, once I became... initially, they were free accounts in Roam for it was used in beta. And then it changed to a paid-for subscription. And there was an option, and I think there still is an option, actually, for the Believer plan. The Believer plan basically cuts the price in half. The rub with that is you pay for 5 years in one go. So it's £500, $500. So that's the thing to think about with it. But I would say the people who use Roam are incredibly passionate about using Roam. Oh, Carol's not heard of Craft before. Craft is worth a look at, I would say, but it's more like Notion than it is Roam. Having said that, it does have bi-directional links, but it's not Roam. They're all slightly different enough to virtually redefine a genre. I would say the 3 of them, you can backlink in Notion, you can backlink in Craft, but it's not like Roam. You can have databases in Notion, but not the other two. You can have embedded pages within, I think it's called transclusion, in Craft, but not in Notion. So there's overlap, but there's also differences. Kim says Rome's too expensive. I would agree with you until you've used it, depending if what it does and does really, really well is what you want to do. And it takes... I think the last person who mentioned this said, oh, you need to spend at least 40 hours in Rome to appreciate it. Rome is what I said when I talked about it was that Notion can do what you tell it to do. And to find information in Notion, you either have to know where it is. And what I mean by that is if I'm looking for... It's $500, Renee, for 5 years, which cuts the price in half. The price per month, if you take it per month, is $15. So it cuts that down to, I think, was it $6 something? About $6 or $7, something like that. So in Rome, in Notion, you can find something because you know where it is. So if I'm looking for episode 16 of Marooned at MacBites Headquarters, go find the Marooned at MacBites Headquarters table, and that's where it is. The other way to find something in in Notion, I'll get this right, yeah, I'll have a drinking game. The other way to find something in Notion is to rely on the search. So the other day I was looking for the last time that I had demonstrated Hindenburg. So I types in Hindenburg. Oh dear, that was a big mistake. I didn't know when it was, so I couldn't go and actually look at it. Right? So I had to rely on the search, and what was coming up was, every time we edit a show, there's a checklist, and the word Hindenburg is in the checklist, and there was no way to filter out all the noise from the actual information that I needed. Now, that problem with Notion will exacerbate itself as you work with it. The more information you put in Notion, the more difficult it's going to be to find anything, unless you are incredibly organised in terms of where you put it. Okay? With Rome, the more you put in it, the more value your system has to you, which I'm hoping to be able to show you with the book club thing. Right, Craft's probably a hybrid of the two in terms of that. Its search is incredibly quick at the moment, but I don't have that much data in it. My actual plan with Craft is if I'm using it for a specific job, and one of those jobs is the review of the year, and we've seen that in Craft, I would intend to take that information out of there when I've finished, and some would go into Rome and some would go into Notion. So Craft is bordering on being part of the core and part of the utility set as far as I'm concerned. At the moment, though, it's working so brilliantly. I mean, I'm running tonight's show from Craft because I know if I lose my internet connection, if I use my internet connection, I'm going to lose you, aren't I? If I lose my Wi-Fi connection, then I won't be able to see the notes. But I know that Craft will carry on regardless, and the other two won't. So that's why I do that.
Can I just interrupt here?
Of course you can.
I put the URL to Craft into the chat.
Yeah.
And I get message deleted by the Google moderator team.
What's it got to do with them?
Exactly.
That's just a link.
Okay,
it's craft.do. Why don't you type it out and put craft space dot space do? Don't put the dot, actually type the word dot.
Craft space dot space do. Right.
Oh, why would the Google moderator team? That's not on. They're censoring. Mike, that's not on. Anyway, that's what it is, craft.do. We've done Craft. If you haven't seen it, Carol, was it Carol who hadn't seen it?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I think we did it over 3 weeks, a few weeks ago. Mike will find the links for you. It's worth having a look at, particularly if you've seen Rome. It's like a pretty version of Rome, but I wouldn't say it was as powerful. But, you know, you need to see these things, don't you? So all of that takes us on to Rome Book Club. So I'm a believer in Rome, and I get invited to this book club. So let's actually go off and have a look at book club. I can probably show you the first one, to be honest. Now, I've got this open. Where did our book club open? Because I've got lots of different things open in lots of different places. Okay. Let me find the way to go there. I go to graphs and settings. Will that work? And then I can show you. Let's have a look. It's having a think about it. It's having a think. There we go. That is what Rome looks like. So, And it says at the top, thank you for being a true believer. So you're on the believer plan. What you get with Roam is the ability to create 3 hosted graphs. Right, you need to know what a graph is. Google, poor Mike in a timeout.
Yeah.
Poor Mike. That's not good, is it? Never seen that happen before. They mustn't like the DO extension. What country's the DO extension? I know Notion ESO is Somalia, and that causes all kinds of grief. Trust me on that.
If you type DO extension into Google, do extensions ruin your hair?
Oh, did I mention not being that intelligent? Oh, poor Google. Poor Google.
Oh no, that's
right. Let me get rid of that. Why have I honestly? I've now got Skype wanting to update. I'll have to get rid of all of that. Let's get rid of it. Okay, so this is what happens when you log into Roam. So you have the ability to create 3 graphs, which think of them as databases.
Dominican Republic.
Maybe they got something against the Dominican Republic. Who knows? That's just mean. But there you go. Can't make it up. Right. So these 3 graphs would be, I just created one with my name. This was back in the day when you could only create the one. So I created one with my name. And all my stuff is in there. You can also, if you're on the Believer plan, create a local graph, which I've not bothered to do. But I could do that and start completely from scratch. If you look down below, you can see these are the ones that are shared with me. And these are all the book club ones. So it started off with book club 1. And I will show you book club 1. But it's very, very different from what we've got now. So when it started, this is a completed book club in here. But a lot of work has been done since. So what we've got here, when you start Roam, you get a daily note. And you always get the daily note. And that's really the essence of how you use Roam. But there isn't much in the way of onboarding. You'd look at that and think, what am I supposed to do with that? You start thinking about making pages and where do I file them? And the thing with Roam is you don't file them. You file nothing. But if I open the sidebar here, you can see in this is all we had to run the book club going back into November. So in here, we've got chats, and this is how book club then looks, right? We've got all of this information appearing in here. We also had a list for conventions. So this was how you particularly would structure the thing. And the only other thing we had was the directory with all our names in. So you would know about the people who were with you. And that was it. Other than that, there was nothing in the sidebar to actually help you. So as time went by, let's get back into here. The second one was a bit better. The third one was a bit better than that. So you can see this is the original one. This is Roam Book Club 2. This is 3. And this is 4. Now, you might wonder why we're doing the same book. Oh, this book is just the best book. So I've done it. This is the 3rd time I'm doing it. And I love it. Love this book. So just to show you the difference between what we started with and what we've got now, which is why, as far as I'm concerned, even though I've read the book, the value of the book club is... And the guy who runs it, called Bo will tell you the same. It's a book club, ostensibly. Come into my book club. And then once you're in the book club, it's like, I'm going to change your life. And it's a totally different thing. The book club is like a front for the best Roam course that you'll ever be on. So I will show you the differences between book club 1 and book club 2. No, 4, where we're at now. And the difference is, as far as I'm concerned, it's so well thought through, it's so organised, and now you've got a path to navigate your way through the book club. So this is today's date. This is the work that's going on today. This is lesson 6. You can see down the sidebar, as well as the daily notes, you've got the standard Roam links, but you've also got some shortcuts. These are formatted with CSS, which is why they're different colours. We've got separators and we've got little icons on things. That makes 1,000,000% difference as far as I'm concerned in terms of using this. So normally I would be looking at the daily notes. How the entire book club works is you have weekly sessions, 2 hours, traditionally Sunday night for 6 weeks. There's now 2 book clubs running side by side with 2 different books. So I'm on the Take Smart Notes book. There is another book called Braiding Sweetgrass, and that's a different group of people entirely, and they work on a Saturday night. We also have in here a reading room. So I'll show you the reading room when we go into here. But basically the reading room is 2 hours. It's a Zoom meeting and you actually read the book. People register to be readers, to read the book out loud. Other people register to be listeners. Currently that happens on a Thursday night. Now, in this one, which is the How to Take Smart Notes book club, you also get 42 days of what is called daily writing prompts, which is what we're looking at now. There's a lesson there which you can either watch in here or you can watch on YouTube. And it's called a guided writing exercise. And underneath, you've got a version of it that is the actual lesson itself and some music for about 30 minutes, where you sit and listen to the music for 30 minutes and you type in what you need to type in. This one is just an audio version of that same thing. And then you've got the actual text. So you could click through to the text, and this is what that would look like. So that's all the text in there. Right, what else have we got? The current state of play on this book club is that we are 1 week in. Do all the co-readers have to buy Rome? That's an interesting point, that. I wondered whether you actually could do this. Well, you could certainly do it on a free trial. I don't know if you would need your own account, because if a graph is shared with you, you might not. You may be able to do it on the trial, or you may be able to do it free version. I will ask that question, and I will get back to you. That question hit me about 20 minutes before I was going live. I thought, I wonder if you could do this totally free, as like an introduction to Rome. What I'd suggest is at least taking the trial and doing the 30 days and doing this. So maybe join at like day 12 and then you've got the rest of the 30 days to do it. But I will find out. It's a shared graph, so I don't think it would matter, but you'd need a login, wouldn't you? So the severed hand's freaking you out. Do you know, I hadn't even noticed that. I hadn't even noticed it. Oh, good grief. Right, so the current state of play in this book club, before I move on, because it's freaking Kim out, is we're 1 week proper in. We had a session that was an intro session, and then last week we had the first session, which clashed, unfortunately, with Line of Duty, like I said. So I've got 6 days of daily writing prompts to complete, and I've got 1 Rome reading room complete. So this is what that would look like if you're me coming into here. First of all, let's have a look what we've got down the side. So this is the daily notes. This is today's. If I scroll down, there's yesterday's. Keep scrolling down. So this one's saying to me yesterday, the Rome reading room is today. So it gives you a prompt. You're supposed to be looking at this every day, and then you will see it. Right, and then as you go backwards, every day, there was an international one, but it was a bit early for me. I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's not happening. Otherwise, I would have gone to it. But that's what you've got here. It takes you all the way back to the first day. So if I keep going down, there we go. That's day 2. This must be the last one. There you go. So that's day 1. And it's also giving you other information here. And there's live transcripts. There's the chat from the Zoom call and all the rest of it. Okay. So all of that is in here. Right, that is the daily notes. Now, obviously, the daily notes in your graph probably won't. I'll leave that on yesterday, Kim, so it doesn't upset you. The daily notes in your private graph will look very different to this. This is Rome being adapted to be able to host a book club. Right, the next thing you've got is the graph overview. Now, what the graph is, in Rome, you have your database, your storage unit, call it what you like. It's called a graph. And that's because it doesn't have a structure in terms of importance. And what I mean by that is, if you make a database like in Notion, there's a table and things live within that table, and then maybe things live within each item within the table, if you're with me, and it's nested. In here, the inference is that everything is of the same importance when you create it. So I make a page, it's the same level of importance as anything else. Where do I save the page? You just save it to the graph. But which folder in the graph? Graphs don't have folders. It's all at the same level. The idea with the graph is that information will speak to you and show you the links involved. How page 1 relates to page 12 will become apparent over time as you build the links between the pages. So I could take a page of mine and I could link it to a second page of mine. Then I could link that second page to 3 other pages. And what will happen is a graph will build up. Don't be freaked out by this graph, it's big. But this is what a graph looks like, or what it can look like. It's taken a while to have a think about it because there's so many pages and so many people. Each of those dots is a page within this book club. Some are bigger than others. They have more links. Some barely have a link at all. So if you look at this one over on the right hand side there, it hardly has any links to it. It looks like one. The mass of grey that you see, that towards the edges you can see the white of, are the links between things. Now, I had a swift look yesterday, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into this. Yesterday, I was under that dot. So as you start zooming in, you start seeing the names of the pages. And yesterday I was under there and today I'm not, which means for me to find my own page in here. Oh, dear, dear. I don't see my page there. If you do see my page, shout out, because I'm darned if I can see it, but that's where it was yesterday. What I can do from here, though, is like, let's pick this big one. In what ways have metaphors shaped you? So when you click on that page, and it's a representation of the page, you get all these things lit up in blue. The links are lit up in blue, so there is a link between in what ways have metaphors shaped you and some of the other pages, but not all of the other pages. If we zoom out, and I have to do this quite slowly because otherwise it goes mad with itself, but this is a huge graph and this has got lots of people in it. Why are we not scrolling up there? I tell you what, no, I don't really want to click away, but I think I'm going to have to get it back to the right size. Right, have another think. I'll try one other corner and we'll try that. I have no idea where I am if I'm not there. Maybe it was that one. I could have a look over there, couldn't I? Have a look at that one. That looks like it's day 5. And I definitely did day 5. So somewhere in there will be my page, but I can't actually find it. But what I will do, over in this corner, there's like one on its own, isn't there? One there. This location one here. What's that? That's a name, but there's also places. So that you'll find in here Manchester, you'll find the UK, and every time you click on one of these, so tools for thought, it will light up links between it. So that's the graph. I must admit, I hardly ever use that. I think you can see why. It gets away from you fast. But that is available in any Roam graph. And what it's showing you is how links develop over time. You can also see, so if we go back and just reload it again. I'm following the chat here. Conegate is done and dusted. For now. For now it is. Right. In here, what you can see is when you first put something in, you might throw something down. Like, oh, there's a cone outside the house. And that becomes one node, and it's this kind of node up here, and it's incredibly tiny. Let's say it's that node, and it's got hardly any links to it. It might have a link to one episode of After Hours. But when Conegate rumbles on for 8 weeks, what you then find is that the node looks much bigger. So what Roam gives you that no other system I've seen does give you is it will show you the importance and significance of things over time and how each page, each concept relates to each other page or concept. So actually it's incredibly useful, but possibly not in a graph this big. Dee's going to have to watch the beginning. Oh, you definitely are, Dee. It was amazing. What a week. Okay, so that's the graph overview. The next part that you've got is a link to all the pages. So if I go down here, somewhere in here, I've been in here today, and I would have updated my page at some point. There's me. Okay, so my page is listed in there, and I've been mentioned once as well. And I've got a word count of 848. There you go. So from there, I can actually go in, and that is what that looks like. That is my page. I have written everything that is on that page. So to take you through what we've actually got an About Me up there. And I put tags in for where I am. So I could click Manchester, and it will show me this is the page for Manchester. There's nothing actually written, but you could write something about your hometown. And there's me and there's Simon from Manchester in the UK. Let's go back to me again. Also in the United Kingdom. So we've got more people in the United Kingdom. And I also put UK because some people put UK. More people put UK than United Kingdom. So these are the backlinks of which people talk in Rome and eulogise about. I could navigate, so if I'm thinking, oh, who's likely to be up at this time? Who might be out there for a bit of a conversation? Then doing it by time zone is a good way to work. And I can do it just by clicking that. And it's not the information on the page. So if we look, there's no information on the page. It's the linked references underneath. You have linked references to this page and you have unlinked references to this page. But there's nothing actually in the page. But you can open this up and then you can see all about me and all about anybody else who has said that they're from Manchester in the UK. Right, so that's the pages in here. So I've also put the Twitter link, which will actually take you out to Twitter. This, if you're wondering why you've got a little icon on there, this is all done with CSS, which is brilliant. Then we've got the outline, your like bio, your intro, and then we've got the actual content from the days. Underneath that, so let's fold that up. Underneath that, I've got unlinked references to me, and I've got linked references to me. And you can see here, there shouldn't be any unlinked references. So there's no unlinked references to me. But somebody has actually referred to me, and that's Alessandra. I know Alessandra from another course that I was on. So what she's done is she's put in the chat the people that she knows. And that way we get pinged. And then I can see that Alessandra is on this course, in this book club, which is a great way of working. I can tell from there, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 people there. The only one that I don't know is Ellen. I don't know Ellen, but I know everybody else. So it's nice to see that Alessandra has put that in, because like these are the people I know. I guess I need to do that as well. And then every day you add in another day's worth of work and then you go do the work. So obviously I've got 5 days in here at the moment. I'm going to add day 6. I'll actually take you through showing you what day 6 looks like. But how that works is you add it with a template. So I would go into here and press enter. And Rome has templates. So Bo has created all of these templates. And I've used 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I haven't used I need help yet. I've done the creating about me. That was used for the top. Haven't done it today, I learned, but I probably should. But I haven't got a day 6 in my system at the moment. And I deliberately... Oh, Carol saw her name. Yay! Why haven't we done the linky thing? Because I know you, Carol. We need to do that. Right. I'm going to choose day 6 and I'm actually going to put it in. So I deliberately have not done this. I'll get into trouble for this because I'm late. But I deliberately haven't done it so I could share it with you to show you how it actually worked. So I would click on day 6 and what I get here is the prompt for the day. So it's got today's date in it. It needs the current time. And that's the time that I'm actually going to do this. So I just delete the E and I get prompt to put the current time in, which means I can just press enter and the current time goes in. And my prompt for the day is, I remember the time where I didn't say everything I needed to say with. Oh, that's going to get deep because I must admit there was quite a few times that happened, but I will. It's not liking you tonight, is it, Mike?
It really doesn't like me.
What did you put in that time?
I put the link into the directly to the book club.
I don't know who the Google moderator team is, but they're not liking Mike. How else could we do that, Mike? Where could we stick it? I'll tell you what, put it in our chat on MacBites FM. Open the chat up and use it as an emergency page because we can't put the links in. Crying out loud. I'll leave that to you, Mike. But basically what you would do in there is then you bare your soul. And you say, what was the time that I didn't say everything I needed to say?
I could put it in Slack.
Not everybody's in Slack.
That's true.
Every time you try posting something, they just delete it, Mike. We'll sort it out later. But at the moment, just make the other chat live and do that. Oh, I've got a link there. Look, Carol's appeared. That's how it works. There you go. I could link back, couldn't I? How have you actually put that in? Let's have a look. Where do you put it in? At the bottom. There we go. Just at the bottom. I think, can we do it at the top in the About Me with who we know? Would that work? It's that chat thing, isn't it? Which I didn't put in. I don't know how to get that up there. Let's have a look. Let's see if it comes up with chat. No, it doesn't look like it. So I'm not sure. how that appears. No, I don't want to do that. Shall I just put my friends? There you go. But don't miss anybody. Oh, this would be seriously bad, wouldn't it? Right, let's do that, and let's show you how you can put a link in. I opened up that with 2 square brackets, and I then start to type Carol's name, and there's Carol, and I just press enter, and there's Carol, listed as one of my friends. There you go. So Carol should now have a link back at Carol's end that I have referenced her. There you go. Elaine has said my friends. There we go. And you can actually see this in real time. Oh, isn't this fantastic, Carol? Oh, she's moved me to the top there. Okay, so let's carry on working down through here. Right, we'll explain to Bo what we've been up to, Carol. Naughty and doing demos. Right, so what I would do with this is I'd have to dig deep, because Bo insists we dig deep. I'd probably say there were many times I did not that I didn't tell my mother things, but there was no arguing with my mother, so there was many times that I would have liked to have said more. So I will probably put that in under there. But what I'll do just to tidy it up for the moment is say that over here, day 6 actually needs to go at the top, because it's the stuff that I'm working on. So if I show you what I did, let's do the old... No, I don't want to go down a page. I just want to unfurl the thing. Right. So I was fairly short with what I did. Carol can see it. Excellent. Right. I started it on the 18th, which is what the link is there. Then you put a timestamp, and then you say what it is here. So I've said I'm going to block time every day for Rome Book Club 4, which I've done. To write every day, I'm a day behind, but you know, forgive me. And if I could see myself 42 days from now, what I'd want to hear from is that I was consistent in my commitment. So that it was fairly short for me. But then you do that every day with whatever the writing prompts are for that day. So this is what I need to get rid of out of my life. What was this one? Oh, the metaphors was tricky. I found that one really tricky. Oh, I've got a like on that. Oh, thank you, Carol. I haven't worked out how to do that yet, or I would have done it. I would have done it. I don't know how to do that. Tell me how to do that, and then I'll do it. And that was the last one that I finished. There we go. So I did actually put quite a lot in that, and I quoted the book. Put a quote in from the book. Excellent. So that is what you actually do on a daily basis. What surprised me was that's not actually reading the book, is it? That's doing work every day that in the end becomes actually more important. But the rest of it, let's go through the rest of it. So that's my page. Right, there's the lesson library, which is all of the lessons in a block underneath. Now, if you've done the Notion thing with me, you'll probably think that looks a bit Notion-ish, and it is. All it does is link to it. So there's some instructions for signing in and how to use the graph and what to do. And then you get a link every day to the video and the text-based note, and then you put that in your own page. We also have over here the schedule that we're sticking to. So this is just beautiful with CSS, isn't it? Oh, it's gorgeous. I've not managed to do that yet either. You, Carol. The CSS looks amazing, but I'd have to investigate it a lot more. So this is where it gives you the information about what's happening and when it's happening. So the first week was this one, which we did last week. This one is we're going to talk about fleeting notes. That's the Zoom link, and that's the time zone conversion, so you know when it's actually happening. So this is like, no, we don't want all of that, do we? Go away. We don't want that. You right-click on the bullet point and click Add Reaction. Thank you, Carol. I've not investigated that. I never have any need for that because it's just me in my Settlecast. So sharing-wise, that's why I put down on day one, commit to it, because I have done these book clubs before, and I'm a little menace for sitting on the sidelines. I take in everything that's said, but say very little. But this week I spoke. Most unusual, but I did. No one here can believe that, can they, Mike? That I sit quietly and listen.
By the way, I'm not going to type any more links in case I get banned.
Right, that's fine.
Or get you banned.
That's fine. We'll sort it out. Leave it alone. I don't know why it's gone crazy there. Carol hasn't done the CSS for the pictures, but it's gorgeous. Oh yes, definitely want to be doing that. So I will investigate that. I'm doing my CSS block by block, very little, block by block. But this is like the overview. This is where you go to find out, what's happening, what week and what we're doing. So the first one coming up is fleeting notes. Now, fleeting notes is a type of note involved in the taking smart notes process. So you start with fleeting notes, which could be, me and my post-it notes, they're fleeting notes. Then you would turn them into the next level of note, literature notes or reference notes. That's providing more context for them and putting them in a place where it makes sense to you. Eventually you end up with, which will be the week after that, permanent notes. Permanent notes being thought through, analysed, the perfect notes for you to create new content from, because those notes mark like everything you know about that, and it's been thought through. It's ready to be created into content. So maybe you've made notes about all of the new Apple stuff, and you're now going to write a blog post about why you don't like it. You would work from your permanent notes. Relevant notes and index is like, how do you get from this graph, which was horrific, how do you get from that mess of intertwined thought to something that's coherent? And you do that with an index, a jump off point. So I would have like MacBites as a jump off point. I would have After Hours as a jump off point. I'd also have, that's when I know that that's where that's going to be. But I would also put things in there if it was a topic that I was interested in. So if I was particularly interested in design applications, then I would maybe have an index, a jump off point for design. And I would create a page that gave me an in to that mass of notes within the graph and lead me on a path that would enable me to discover extra things that I would never have thought of, and then put those in that article. Makes more sense when you've seen it than it does saying it, but there you go. Google says the account may be considered spam and they'll remove the comments within seconds. Mike, what have you done?
Nothing.
You best go and have a look. Have you not got another one? Have you not got another Google account? I tell you what, just leave it. Don't put any links in, Mike. Just say howdy doody. We'll sort it out later. Oh, Carol's written 2 blog posts from her Zettelkasten so far. Now, a Zettelkasten, good word, a Zettelkasten is your conversation partner, which is your graph. So it is where you've put your notes, it's where you've put your thoughts, and within it, you then have all you need to create content, or whatever it is you want to do. Usually it's content, writing articles, writing books, that kind of thing. The beauty of the Zettelkasten is it's not structured. It's the complete antipathy of Notion. In Notion, everything's got to be tagged and flagged and put in the right place. Otherwise, you're not going to find it again. With a Zettelkasten, the Zettelkasten will guide you through the content you have and show you the links that you might not be aware of. So if we use this as the metaphor and go back to the graph overview, I may have put in Manchester, and I see that Manchester in here has suddenly grown and become one of these. Well, obviously then there's more people from Manchester. But it could be something like this one over here where there's just one link. So I try and click on that one and there's just one link back to there. But maybe that link between these 2 pages is critical. Just because it's one link and it's not like 500 lighting up doesn't mean it's not an important link for you down the line. So if I were looking at this page, if I had opened that page in the middle there, that one there, and I look at it and it has a link, because we can see that, to this page. That might have one tiny piece of information on it that would be perfect for the blog post I'm writing, or the article I'm writing, or the video I'm making. But I didn't link the 2. Not intentionally, I didn't. That link has appeared because I've mentioned one thing potentially in relation to another, but I just thought I'd tag it. And then at the point I'm surfing my Zettelkasten, my database, looking for information, looking for links, I suddenly see that link and I think, oh wow, that's relevant. And then that could be put in it. But if I had done that in Notion or any other system where I'm in charge of the structure of it, I wouldn't have necessarily linked the 2. I would have been unaware of the link between the 2. So that's why I pay £500 for 5 years with Rome, because it will tell me that. Okay, so next thing we've got in here is the book. Let's Let's have a look. So Carol's saying her permanent notes are on the daily pages and the permanent notes page is like an index. Yeah, I must admit, I haven't. Mine are on the daily pages as well. There are odd pages where I do put other information. I think for me, it depends on what type of thing it is. I mean, I could, for instance, have tagged something this week, new iMacs. I could have tagged it iMacs. But I actually like to put together everything from that particular event as well. But I too, this week, did it in the daily notes. I do agree with Paul when he says it's unstructured. It is unstructured. You just have to have faith in the system. It's very difficult to have faith in the system. I completely understand that. You want to put things in a certain place and then go back and find them. But that's not how knowledge works. Or you can get so far doing that, but you might be missing 20%, is what I would say. Too expensive per month. Well, the Believer plan takes it down by half, but I totally understand. Not many people are going to want to commit to 5 years. I'm thinking, the day that I subscribe to the Believer plan, put a big note on the daily page, Believer plan, and then put another note for 5 years from that day. And what I'm excited about is seeing what the Zettelkasten looks like then. Have you thought of it in those terms, Carol? Because that's just too exciting for me. That keeps me going, using it every day when I'm like, oh no, I want something organised. Like, no, trust the system. Just put it on the daily page and trust it, you'll find it. But I do appreciate that it's a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith. If you're ready for it, it's great. If you're not, either wait or use something else. It's not for you then. We are fortunate enough in this book club to have the full text of the book. The author, Zunka Ahrens, knows Bo, who runs the book club. So I think Bo sweet talked him into putting the entire book in here. However, that doesn't mean that I haven't bought the book twice. I've got a Kindle version of the book, and this week I actually bought the paperback. It's the first book, Dead Tree, that I've actually bought in years. But I thought I just feel this is such a good book. I need to have the paperback one as well. Carol pays monthly. I went straight for the Believer thing. It was well, actually, for two reasons. One, I thought, yes, I'm in the right place with this. This is what I want to use. So that was the first point. So I knew that. The second point was I had done a course. There was one course on Rome, and I'd taken this course, and because I'd done the course, I got a voucher for £100. So I took £100 off the price. So actually I paid less than that. I paid £400 or dollars for it. What about using Obsidian instead of Rome? Yes, you could absolutely do that. Obsidian is very, very good in as far as it goes. I've used it myself. I like the fact that your data is your data and it's on your system. I love that part of it. It's incredibly customizable, and it could do 99% of what this could do. So yes, you could do that. I'm not sure where Obsidian are up to in terms of multiplayer. We are definitely multiplayer in here. I think on opening day there was 230 of us, so there's potentially 230 people in here, and it's coping admirably. I don't know about Obsidian with that. Maybe you could let me know, Valentine. I don't know about that. But yes, Obsidian is very, very good. And to me, it's got a place as well because it's got that offline aspect. So I also have Obsidian, but I'm not using it as much as Rome. This is one of those things you can't say to yourself, I'm going to put 20% of my stuff in there and 20% in there and 20% somewhere else, unless it makes sense to do so. So, for instance, in my daily note today in Rome, you will not have the running order for tonight. That's in Craft, because I need that to be working irrespective of whether I am online or not. But yes, Obsidian's very good. Carol couldn't afford it all at once. Gained enough confidence after Book Club 3 and accepted promotion at work, so can now afford the Believer plan. Oh, do the Believer plan. You never know. There might also be discounts on it every now and then. So you never know. But the Believer plan would virtually cut the bill in half anyway. But I just thought that aspect of where do you want to be 5 years from now was very much like where do you want to be at the end of this 42 days. So I went for it anyway. So the book itself is in here. Now that gives you a benefit. So in here you have, if you click on the introduction, it will take you through to the text of the book itself. And the beauty of this is if something from this speaks to you. So I'm going to go through to the next chapter. I did actually put something in one of these. So maybe I can use that and actually show you. But what you do in here is, if you look at the little numbers next to the side, people make reference to these blocks. These are part of the thing. I believe I've seen it used for genealogy, Kim. People love it. They absolutely love it for that. But I think you'd have to see it to appreciate it. The para system will help with keeping track, and you can see parallels. I must admit, para is something in here I don't particularly use. I contemplated it, and I went through a course where many other people were contemplating the same thing, and pretty much they decided against it. I para everything else. Honestly, I para everything else, including my bookmarks. So I think, did I do this one? There's my bookmarks. So I got my inbox, I got my projects, areas, resources, archives, and Roam Book Club, because I need the link for that when I need it. But that's only exception that is outside that. So I para everything else. But this I've just learnt you need to trust the system. But by having these paragraphs, the entire book in here, what this enables you to do is think, right, that speaks to me. Now there's something about that I like. And I want to reference that from my page. Right, so here's a way to do that. In here, I'm going to put my name in, which is how we get to my page. There's my page. And I want to say something about one of them. I'm just going to put it underneath. We'll do a Carol underneath. We'll put it there. Right. Right, so I want to find something in the book. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going here. No, I'm not going to do that. Back we go. I'm going to do that, which is I can hold the shift key down and I can open up another page, but in the sidebar. And I've got access to everything down here in the sidebar then. So if I wanted to say, like, let's say we got here. I don't want to do that either. Just a minute. Right, I want to open up that, a few things to keep in mind. Right, so somewhere in here there might be a paragraph that I'm interested in, like these. And what I can actually do with that paragraph, instead of copying and pasting it, you can create a reference to that block. So I did that the other day. Can't remember which one. I think it was this one, wasn't it? There you go. That paragraph there. That is a link to it. So when I hover over it, you can see my mouse pointer changes to a link. And if I click on that, it will actually open it up, and that is the block that I have linked to. Doesn't sound so exciting, but honestly it is, because if this end changes, mine gets updated. So if in your database, your graph, you have some information, and that information was incorrect when you put it in, but you've block referenced it in 5 different places. If you've done it with a copy and paste, that's bad news, because you've got to update 5 places. But if you do it with this block reference, you update the original block and it will update all of its reference blocks, which is the entire power of this. So when Notion added backlinks, yeah, not like this, you didn't. It's not block references. It's the block reference that gives Roam its power. So Kim says, if Roam could help me break down some brick walls, the price might be worth it over time. I'll find out if I can see anybody who's got that, but I know some people are doing it. So there may be some people who are sharing stuff about that, and I could let you know. I mean, it works out about £6 to £7 a month if you do the Believer plan. There are things, if you're in a group of some description about genealogy, and they would deem it a charity, then they will do potentially a free plan. So it might be worth contacting them. But take the 30-day trial and then see if it's going to work. What I would say in a 30-day trial is don't take the trial until you're really ready to try it, because the benefit of this won't be obvious on day 1 or day 2 or day 3. You use it religiously for 30 days and then go back and try and find things, and you'll realise the power of it. But you won't do that in 2 or 3 days. Carol's not used Para in Roam. I don't think I would. I think if I was going to try it, it would have to be... because there are no physical locations, so it'd all have to be tags. And I'm not sure why I would tag something with like a para thing. I might, I don't know. I certainly haven't found the need yet. Certainly not yet. So that's the book. We have the entire book here. Let's fold that up. that you can read online if you want to and block reference if you want to, which is just fantastic. Right, and then there's the reading room. So the reading room is what happened last night. So I should commit to this right now, shouldn't I? I don't know why there's a blank at number 2. I don't know. But week 1, we had all our readers and then the video. So that video is probably about 2 hours 25, something like that. I spoke at the end. But we've also got in here all the chat. So there's me. I did say hello, didn't I, at the beginning? There's me. My first time in Reading Room, hello from the UK, which I started chatting with a lady on LinkedIn, so that was good. So we got the chat from there, and I think we also had another chat from somewhere. Or was that the readers? I think it was the readers who read at the top. So I should probably make myself a volunteer, shouldn't I, for next week? Shall I do that? I'll do it if you will, Carol. Right, let's put me in there. There we go. So that's me volunteered to read for next week. How brave is that? Oh, definitely. Right, and now I need to take the Zoom link and put it on my calendar and all of that, which I will do later. Right, so that's our reading room. So what happens is that gets built up over time. So if it wasn't in a suitable time zone for you, you'll find the video and you will be listening to people reading the book and then discussing each paragraph as you go. I won't say there's a lot of discussion and people volunteering information, but that video... Let's have a look at that video. I can't play the video. I need to know how long the video is. So let's open it up on YouTube. Let's do that. But don't play. Don't play. 2 hours 21 and a half. Right. So 2 hours 21. And where did we get to in the book? Well, we've just seen that there was a bookmark in the book. So if I open up the book and we go down, there is a bookmark in it. Now, the easiest way to get to the bookmark is here. That says bookmark, and that's where we're up to. So you don't even have to do that at that stage. That's the bookmark. Hold the shift key down and click on that. It opens it up, and that's where we're up to, which is so comical. We've read 5 pages in 2.5 hours, but we had a ball doing it. So there you go. You've seen me volunteer for next week. Right, so that's the reading room. Then, of course, you've got the help desk if you need any help with anything, which I haven't done yet, but people can ask questions and get answers in there. Then there's the chat room, which I thought was where that link was coming from. The little head icon, because it's at the top there. So I don't know. I don't know about that. But I haven't been in the chat room yet. But I do love the Today I Learned, which as far as I can see, the Today I Learned, you put it in here and then it appears on Twitter. As long as you do it right, which I think is put the tick in the box, something like that. I will get more information on that and see how it actually works. But I have seen some people, their tweets appearing. So I probably need to do a tweet as well, don't I? OG makes a good point there. So that's me volunteering to read. How brave is that? She said while live streaming to people on her weekly show. Yeah, but reading and speaking are 2 very different things. I noticed yesterday, what you see and what you say are 2 different things. Some guy used the word also, and that wasn't what was written down. And it reminds me when people read at church. Do you remember when the Philippians became the Filipinos? Because somebody pronounced it wrong. Reading is difficult. There you go, reading is difficult. But there will be a video recording of it happening. If you want to watch it, you'll find it on YouTube next week. Right. So we covered all of that. So how I do this on a daily basis is I go into the daily notes and I get the video that's going to freak out Kim, so move it down. I watch the video. And then either click there or just actually do what you saw me do, which was go into the search to find my page, go to my page that gets built up over time, add the new day as you saw me doing it, and then I would open that up, so open that, and then click there and start writing. So now I need to remember a time where I kept my mouth shut and might not have been wise doing so. That happens so often, doesn't it, Mike? No, seriously, I do tend to keep my own company, my own counsel. So yeah, that's going to be... I might write that one for quite a while, but that's what I'll be doing with it. And I've also got to finish off yesterday's as well. I must admit, you did yesterday's, didn't you, Carol? I looked at it and I thought, oh dear, that was difficult. That was tough. So I added it and I thought I'll catch up with that at the weekend. So I've got to be up to date before Sunday. So what I need to do is say why I want a Zettelkasten in my life. A Zettelkasten being this graph within Rome that I want as a dialogue partner to store my information, and I want it, as I start looking through it, to come back to me with things that I would not have joined together. I wouldn't have linked, things I wouldn't have remembered. And that's already happened. So even though I don't feel that I've got that much in there to have that happening, because I tend to sit there with Rome open all day and use the daily notes as like a scratch pad and then tidy them up at the end of the day, it is actually already happening. But Bo's pushing us here. This is before we even get as far as him teaching anything. What he's saying is, why do you want it? And when you've said why you want it, well, why do you want that? What do you want to do with it? And that's, there you go. And if I dig as deep as possible, this is why I want to do it. That's tough. And he knows it's tough and he knows it's uncomfortable. And that's why I thought I'm going to have to think about that for a while. So that's where I'm at with that. But that is what happens in book club. So now you've seen it. You can still join, I think. And even if you just want to follow along with the book, if you go to the youtube.com/Bohan, BEAUHAAN, then you'll be able to follow along with all the videos. And my missives in here if you want to see it. At the moment, this is open to the public. But it's going to be closed on Sunday, I think. So if you want to join for Sunday, it's free of charge entirely. I need to ask about the Rome thing. Do you need an account to do it? Or you could definitely do it on the trial. But it's a shared graph. So I'm wondering if you could actually do it free of charge. We'll find out. Carol and I will get on the case and we'll find out. But that is book club. That is where you'll find me on a Sunday night, trying to do book club and Line of Duty at the same time. Bo needs telling about this, you know, Carol, doesn't he? Okay, so let's get that out of the way and head back into here for the next bit, which is an update to DEVONthink. You got any questions about anything, put them in the chat. There has been an update. I think it was earlier today. I do love it when they do that on show day. Don't do that. No, or it could have been yesterday. Either way, it's an update. The most important thing is that, and this has taken them some time, they've improved the handling of Markdown, which we've talked about before. Markdown is a lightweight markup language with plain text formatting. So it doesn't matter. You could write it with a biro if you wanted, on a piece of paper. It wouldn't work, but you could do it. You can write Markdown in any application that supports text. Don't do it in Word and expect it to work. You can do it in Word and export it. But there are many, many applications that do support it. It was created by a guy called Gruber, John Gruber. And it is 16 years old now. The idea was for him, and he was in collaboration with Aaron Schwartz. He wanted a syntax that enabled people to write using an easy to read and an easy to write plain text format. What was happening around 2004 was you'd got Word documents and you had WordPerfect documents and you had other documents. And it was like, you can't read that because it's 0.1 of an update out. And what he wanted was just, do you know what? Can I just open it in a text file and read it? And that's what Markdown is. So the entire goal of it was to make it easy to use, but also be able to convert it to other formats, which is what that's talking about. So basically it self-describes itself. And what I mean by that is, if you want it bold, then you put the code in for bold and the word goes bold. You then use any application that supports Markdown and it'll say, oh, that's bold, and it will convert it for you. Now you can pair that with something like Word, and if it's bold in Word, it might not be in Excel, and it certainly won't be if you copy and paste it out and put it somewhere else. Heaven knows what will happen to it. That's an old picture of Gruber. I believe it is, but I think that was from when he created it. Are you saying he looks older now, Paul? How much older? Go find a picky. Anyway, applications that support it that I use extensively. First one would be Ulysses. I write all my blog posts in Ulysses. Now, having said that, that's going to change because the material is going to come from Rome. But hold that thought. I can copy and paste from Rome and put it straight into Ulysses. Why wouldn't I just leave it in Rome? Well, I need to publish it. And Rome doesn't have any publishing at the moment. They're working on an API. I'm sure it'll come. But there are other priorities at the moment. And seeing as though all my stuff is in Ulysses, and Ulysses has an iOS version, my stuff would be in Ulysses. However, I can copy and paste to and from Ulysses and every other application, including Drafts, which also supports Markdown. It supports different versions of Markdown. Roam itself supports Markdown. It's Markdown that you're writing in. Notion supports Markdown. You can copy and paste out of that and you will get Markdown. Craft supports Markdown. So maybe you can see where I'm going in those three. Roam will copy and paste to Notion. Notion will copy and paste to Roam. They will all copy and paste to Craft and vice versa. There are also other apps that let you preview your Markdown in a beautiful way. So the app in question there would be Marked, the latest version being Marked 2. So what this means, this update from DEVONthink, is DEVONthink was really, really clunky in doing this. Really clunky. That's what they've improved. So let's go in and have a look at that. Right, where's DEVONthink gone? Oh, there we go. Right. So what I've done in here, these are the release notes. So first thing I did was put the release notes in DEVONthink. These are just brought in as plain text. And you can see that the big thing here they were looking at was the fact that you've got a WYSIWYG editing option. Right, and by default it is enabled. So you're going to work with Markdown, but you're going to get a what you see is what you get look of it. So if you look back to what we had in Roam, that's pretty much what you've got there. The bold bits are bold. The bits that are links have got brackets on them. So it's Markdown. If I put a link in, it would look like a link. That's what you've got here because it's turned on by default. Insert me here. Oh yeah, I'll put that in as well for one. But what we'll do is we'll start from scratch and we'll bring some stuff in. Right, you are creating a new data type in DEVONthink for this to work. So you have your data menu, and from there you've got new. You also have new from template, which you could now create a template that included a markdown element to it. But at the moment, you've got all the things you've been able to do, plain text, rich text, formatted note, HTML, you name it, all of these things. But you also have this formatted note. No, you don't. Markdown text. That's what we're looking for. Markdown text. So you put that in and you now have some Markdown. Now I'm just going to turn all these off because I was working with them. So right, let's put, what should we put in here? New Markdown. Let's just put new Markdown. Right. So you have what looks like any other thing. You know, it would look like that if I made a new text one. So if I did that, if I went to data, new, and said plain text, they look very similar, don't they? In fact, to the point, virtually identical, but not quite. Not quite. You have a few options. So in here, you've got your word count, character count, etc. You've got some tools that you can turn on. And you've got the characters. In the Markdown, you have a whole different range of things. You do have the count, same with the characters, but you've got extra stuff. You have tools and you have 3 distinct separate views. So I'm going to start in here. Let's go get a link. Seeing as though Mike's having such a fun time with links, they think he's a spam bot. Poor Mike. Couldn't make it up. Right, what I'll do is I will go get a link. All right, so I'll go to, let's go there. Right, let's go there and get that. So I've copied that link from there. Get it out the way. And in here, I would like to put that in as a link. That's fine if you know the syntax for doing that. So my blog is at, and then we need to put that in. If we paste that in, that's just a link. But would it be active? No. If we click away and we click back, it's just a link. In fact, we can't even see anything at that point, can we? That's not good. Let's go into that one. There we go. But this is my editor view. Right, not good at all. So you need to know some magic to make this work. I already have this sorted out because I use this all the time. So this is an example, and I think we had a request for this, Kim by memory, where Typinator. What can you do with Typinator? Well, what I do with Typinator is say, I put the link on my clipboard and then I say I want to create a multi-markdown URL. And it automatically does that, but it doesn't do it very well in here. So clearly they need to update this already. But That would then be my blog is at, and then that would have a link on it. So the bit in square brackets is the text of the link, and this is the actual link. And at the moment, I'm editing in the editor view. Hence, I am seeing all of the markdown. So if I wanted to say, you can style text with markdown. Oh, where's the N gone? Oh, you're still there. For example, you can use bold and italic. See where I'm going with this? Right, so there's the bold. I would like that to be bold. Well, in every other application, you use Command and B, don't you? You can do that in here. And what it will give you is the manual syntax for doing that. So I could also make the word markdown bold by putting those stars in manually. So you see, it turns it on. And then when I've finished, I need to put 2 stars and it turns it off. So you can do it by hand, but the benefit of what they've added is that you've now got shortcut keys to do it as well. So for the italic, I'd be looking to put in there Command and I. And that is what it looks like. So 2 stars makes it bold, single star makes it italic. There are many other things that you can put in Markdown, but to be honest, if you've got that far, you're pretty much ready to go on that. Now, in terms of what we've got in here with views, we have 3 views here. So this one is the preview. You can see the URL has actually vanished. That's because we were looking at it in design mode. And now we're looking at it in finished mode, in published mode, in this is what Markdown language, when you take it out to somewhere that can read it and interpret it for you, it takes away the codes and it replaces it using the codes with what you can actually see to work with. So my blog is at, well, that was grand, wasn't it? If I click on that, will actually take me out to the blog. But in these circumstances, that's not great. It should have my blog is at and then the blog URL. But down here, you can see the Command and B worked, the Command and I worked. And now you're previewing this, but you can easily switch to edit view. So my blog is at, if I put in there, elainegiles.co.uk, right, we flick back, much better, much better. So you've got this preview view and you've got this edit view. You also then, and this is like the killer feature, this, let's move that back so we've got a little bit more room to play. You've got this dual view where you are editing over here. So let's make that style. We'll make that bold. And we'll move on to that. We'll make that italic. It should be updating. I think they need to update this a little bit. I can assure you. Let's go back. Then it does it. It should update automatically. There should be a bi-directional update going on here. So on the left, you've got your editor. And on the right, you've got the actual Markdown. This problem with Markdown in DEVONthink, the fact that it didn't do this, was what put me off using DEVONthink as a single solution for transferring stuff from iPad. The old iPad version, version 2, and DEVONthink 3 for desktop didn't really talk to each other in terms of Markdown. And I thought, time is short, life is short. No, I can't do this. I can't fiddle around with it to the extent that I would have had to have done for a one-stop solution. But now this is in here, this is much stronger. You also have, if you are not good with Markdown, if you are learning Markdown, so let's say you are learning Markdown, you also have over here some tools that you can toggle on and off. So what you've got there is you can put your bullet points in. Bullet points are really straightforward. That's a bullet point. Learning Markdown. It will take no time at all, right? And we've got 2 elements of that. Obviously, at this stage, it's infuriating to have to flick back and then flick back for it to update. But you can see it does give you proper bullet points. As far as I can see, that should be instant. And unless I've not pushed a button or something, it's not instant, and it should be. But as I'm saying, you've got these tools. So you can add, with your bullet points, you can add tables. You've got different types of text. You can have struck through text, as well as bold, italic, underline, and I'm presuming this is some kind of a back thing, which isn't active on this one at the moment. But you do have your tools there as well. And that's what they've added, which I think is nice, because sometimes, you've got this amount of information here. Let me copy that, all right? I totally agree it needs fixing, Kim. I mean, it's useless without. Why have a dual view? Because I wouldn't ever want to look at the Markdown and the output of the Markdown. If I wanted to see both, I would be adding things and correcting things and changing things. And it would be ridiculous. There's just no point in having it. You might as well just look at it like that and then think, oh, I need to make some changes and flick into this mode. So it definitely needs sorting out. It's not right. But it is brand new out, so I forgive them for 5 minutes. Maybe they've even done an update. Oh, funny story with that. If I try doing that, check for updates. No, I'm up to date. So I need 3.7.1, don't I? I made the mistake of updating earlier on my laptop. What did I update? Oh, it was Google. Google bothered me to update, so I updated. And then it said you need to give it permission. So I gave it permission, cancel or allow. And then when I'd done that, it said you need to reboot. And I thought, what is this? Windows 95? So I rebooted. And then it said, there's an update from Google. You need to install it. I thought, I've already done that. Then it said cancel or allow. Go to the preference. I thought, really? I rebooted. It got itself in a reboot loop. 3 times I rebooted before finally it said, yeah, okay, I'll do it this time. So you've got to love it, haven't you? So yeah, there's an issue with that at the moment. Not quite right. But if I were to take this and put it into the plain text one, it wouldn't ever be interpreted as Markdown. So to be honest, you'd probably not have the codes in it in here. You'd be saying, if this was text, this is where my blog is, and you wouldn't have any styles on these. These wouldn't be interpreted as bullet points. So while plain text is handy, it doesn't give you the benefits that Markdown does. And considering that you can bring in the Markdown from other places, even better. So let's go to data and let's go to new, and this time we will have a Markdown note. We will be in the edit view over here, and what I'll do, there we go. What I will do is I will go to my Rome graph, which I had open. Should we copy that? We'll copy one of these. We'll copy one of these is what we'll do. In fact, we'll copy the one, I think it was that one. Yeah, with this block in it. Now this block, I didn't type it. If you look at we've got the arrow again, it's a reference block. It is a block level reference. So if I go up here, come on. Oh, we're not doing it, are we not? Right. All the way up there and say, right, that's day 4. That's everything selected within day 4. But remember, I've got hashtags in here, and I've got this thing, which wasn't mine. I have block referenced it from somewhere else. And it's all indented. There's multiple levels of indent. Oh, good grief. But if I just copy that straight from Rome, I can come in here and put that in the Markdown. You can see the indents in here, but it's not pretty to read, is it? Oh, that's not good to read. But if you go into your reader view, you can see the entire thing. Obviously, I can't fold it up anymore, but I could take that, including this, which was referenced from the book, and have a copy of it in there. And what I do retain is all of the indents, etc. Now, if we do that with a plain text file, we just get that. There's no way of interpreting that to look nice or anything. And because, the big difference is like this. Yes, it's indented to this level, but then it's pulled it all the way back to the left-hand margin. Whereas really it would be much more readable if that was wrapped around under there, which with the Markdown, it is. It is wrapped under it. So that, I think that was what I put, because I'm big into my contextual notes at the moment. I use the term contextual note. But that is the quote, and you have this indent that makes it the difference between it being readable and not readable. So there you go. And it will copy that from anywhere else as well. So I could take, what have we got here? I do have some stuff in Ulysses. Right, that's just some links that I've got in there. So let's take that. Oh, hang on. No, need to show you. In Ulysses, you have a million ways to copy it. So you would copy something as something. So I'm going to copy that as Markdown. But I could copy it as HTML or plain text or rich text. But I'm actually going to copy it as Markdown. Because behind these, there are links. So each one of these has a link with a timestamp on it, which I should have, it's a mail I should have sent out this week. It's actually written, for crying out loud. I'll send them together. Right, and then at this place, as I go back in here, if I go to Data, New, under Markdown, and I paste that in, it brings everything with it. So that all these links, like that, will come in as links. So when we go view it, we could do with some carriage returns, couldn't we? But I've got all the links in there. So need to sort something out with the carriage returns, but all of the links are live. And it's neat and tidy in terms of the links. So there we go, DEVONthink and Markdown. Who's going to be using that in DEVONthink? I'll probably put some stuff in it, but I'm more into my plain text at the minute, aren't I? Right, let's head off to creating graphics fast, which I'll be doing over more than 1 week. Right, the service I'm about to mention has been around for quite a few years. I can tell by some of the files that I've created in it that it was about 5 years ago, and I remember thinking I'm thrilled and leaving it. But I recently have gone back. Wow, they have done a lot of updates, and the service in question is Canva. So there is a free version of Canva, which is more than capable. There are also paid for subscriptions. But just as a starting point, there's much in Canva that you can get and use as a starting point. So let's go have a look at Canva. Let me know in the chat if you've got a Canva account.
The link's going in MacBites FM.
Right, the link's going in MacBites FM. Oh yeah, the link that I've got is a referral link. If you've not got a Canva account, you want a free account. If you use the link that Mike's putting in MacBites FM, poor Mike. I wonder if I put it in, would it bin it? No, I'll leave it alone. I don't want cutting off in my prime. If you use that link, you get some freebies and I get some freebies. And the freebies are assets that you can use, so you get a paid for thing. Right, I had this open in Chrome. Oh, and then I went there. That's not good, is it? Oh, Sarah loves Canva. Kim's not heard of it. You're going to love it, Kim. Trust me. Right, let's bring Canva on here. Right, use that link and then you'll get some free pictures. Debbie's got a free Canva account. Right, Canva is an online graphics service is the wrong word. Creation application. Hosted totally in a browser. And as I've said, even for free, which is what I'm using at the moment, you can do a lot with it. Now, what I did with it... Carol's got Canva. I never doubted it, Carol. Never doubted it. Right, what I've done, some of these go back, there you go, 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, I created the MacBites Advent Calendar. And I did it in Canva. Totally in Canva. So all of that was free because I've never had a paid for account. I haven't. But that was what I created. As you can see, not good. Look at the shape of these things now. That definitely not good. But I created that long ago. So that was what I did. That was the first graphic that I did with it. Where's the link? The link is on macbites.fm, Deb. Is it at the top of the chat, bottom of the chat?
Well, there's only 2 things in the chat.
There's only 2 things in the chat on macbites.fm. But that will give you some free images, and I think it will give me some free images. I don't know. But that's what they said. Right, what we're looking at here is a service where you create graphics, but you do it in the cloud. Now, that sounds really clunky. Deb's heard of it, looked at it a few times. I'd looked at it before, and I did create some graphics. I did it first with this MacBites one down here. The second thing I did was this the gin night thing. And that was because somebody at church said to me, can you do me a poster for the gin night? And I thought, pardon? Obviously meaning for free, like I've got all the time in the world to work for free. So I said, why don't you just do one in Canva? Not heard of Canva. I thought, darn it. So I said, I'll make one in Canva and then give you the Canva file, and then away you go. Because I just haven't got the time. I haven't got the time. So I did that. Oh, Kim's got a Canva credit. Excellent. Excellent. Yes, it's in the Marooned one. Oh, there's a Google moderator again.
Yeah, this time it was for Sarah.
I think the Google moderator is just going mental tonight. Can you just do a quick search on Twitter or somewhere, see if anybody else is having a problem? It seems that if you put in a link, it's just having a fit with it. I don't know why I've made no changes. But we will use our back channel. We have a back channel. Yes, go to macbites.fm and look in the chat, and all the links are in there. Right, so it will give you a credit. That's fantastic. So I just threw one together for that. But let me take you back right to not what I'm doing with it, but what you can do with it. So your designs are in this bit here. When you've started, your designs will be in that bit there. Initially, though, you won't have anything if you've not got an account already. So that's what we're looking at there. But from the top, what we've got, this is the home page, and you've got all the options across the top. So first thing it gives you, which is the huge benefit of Canva, as opposed to something like Affinity Designer, which I live in. I live in Affinity Designer. But sometimes you just don't have the time. You just want to create a very quick post. And what it does in the templates is categorize them. So you've got your social media, which includes Facebook and YouTube and all this kind of stuff. You've got personal things. So there are invitations, cards, resumes, you name it. Business stuff.
Looks like it's happening to others over the last 24, 48 hours.
There you go. It's happening to everybody. So Mike's not special in a bad way.
Oh,
we'll
thanks.
fix it. You are special, dear, but in a good way. We'll fix it for next week. But we have a back channel, so don't worry about it. Right. The business ones are grouped together. You've got marketing stuff, including infographics, including full newsletters. The education side is amazing. You should see the lesson plans and the worksheets and stuff. It's amazing. And then you've got anything that's proving popular in trending. So what you've got with a template is a huge starting point. All you need to do is make the tweaks that you need. So we will be going in and having a look at the templates. Then you've got features, which is you've got photos. You can get free photos, backgrounds, all categorized here. Same with icons, same with print products and apps. There are things you can explore in terms of Teams and videos and stuff, and you can actually download Canva for Mac, Windows, Android and iOS, which gives you an app to work in rather than working in the browser. Kim says Mikey's special. We love Mikey.
Oh, thank you.
YouTube doesn't love Mikey. Not today, he doesn't. I think all the links are just going to get deleted, aren't they? If you are stuck and you are looking for help, you've got tutorials that you can get to. There's also a blog with lots of posts on it guiding you through stuff, and even full courses as well. Now, these full courses go beyond just creating the graphics. The tutorials are in the middle if it's help with Canva that you want. The courses go beyond that. So, how would I brand my business? How would I create a presentation? But they're all there. Right, pricing wise, there is the free level, which I am currently on, never had a paid for account, which is intended for individuals and small teams. So the good thing with that is, if you started up and then you wanted to add somebody to it, a spouse or business partner or whatever, you can do that, and it's actually cheaper to do that than get 2 accounts. For that, of course, you need to go onto the pro account. Then there's enterprise, there's education and non-profits, and these are free. So the last 2 are free. Enterprise is something like 20... I think it's £24 a month, something like that. But the pro one, let's have a look at the pro one. Let's go and have a look at the pricing. It's free for 30 days, which I am going to do. It's $99.99 a year, which is £8.33 a month. Now, the difference, what you would get for pro that you wouldn't get for free, is you will have the ability to create one brand kit, and I will show you why that's quite important, because it will keep your fonts, your logos, your colours as a brand kit. You've got the one-click magic size resize, so if you've got something it's not quite the size you want, it will interpret it for you and make it the size that you want. And you get access to all of the free templates. Now, you do get access to 250,000 free templates completely for free. So you're only talking 420,000 templates. But you do get access to the stock photos without paying individually for them. So it could really pay for itself quite quickly, to be honest. And instead of 5 gig of storage for your stuff, you get 100 gig. And you do get the ability to post directly to 7 platforms if you want to. Sarah's going to have to look further. Didn't realise there was an app you could download. This is the thing. When you've got something, you go in and you use it and you don't think, I wonder what they've added. That's why I read the release notes. But for something like this, there's no release notes because it's an online service and it's constantly evolving. But yes, you can. Now, this thing here with how many in your team, if I wanted to add 5 members to a team, you'd think, well, that'll be £500. But actually, no, because each extra person is £4.99. So what I did was think, well, okay, how much would that be if I wanted to just add Mike? And instead of it costing us £200 a year, it'd be £160. And given that Mike could handle this kind of graphics, it might be something to look at. But what I'm going to do for this week is I'm going to stick to the free version entirely. What I'll do next week is I will take the trial and then show you all that you can get in the extra version. Right, so let's lose that and go back into here. So we've done everything across the top. The search, don't rule out the search. The search is incredibly powerful. Then you've got your stuff down the side. So this is like home base, recommended for you. They're suggesting presentations, posters, infographics, something that you might want to create. But you then have an option to go to all your designs. And this was just stuff I threw together yesterday to try stuff out. And I was quite impressed with it, I'll be honest. Obviously, that was the one I did 9 years ago. 9 years, 7 years, however long ago it was. That one there, as I told you, I just threw together for a guy at church. Rather than charge him the going rate, I thought I'd just do it in Canva and be done with it. These were just to see how it looked. This one, I thought, let's try doing something proper with it. And all of that was on the slide to start with. That is a slide, that one. So I'm going to do a whole presentation next time, but I literally put in there, how fast would it be to do that? So I'll walk you through what I did with it when we carry on and look at the home bit. So we're looking at all our designs. That's just home base. But in here, you can create folders and organise stuff however you want to do it. Then you've got stuff that is shared with you, and I haven't got anything shared with me. Poor me. No, nobody else. Haven't got the brand kit either, because for the brand kit you need to upgrade. But it does show you what you would get. So if you think about what I do with MacBites, we'd have the brand logos, and there is more than one. We've got Wolfie for a start. Then we've got the waves. We've got MacBites Learning. So there's quite a few different images. But brand logos, you can put multiple brand logos in. You can create a new palette, which is your brand palette. And the reason that that is important is when I show you how this actually works, you can just say, use this particular palette, use that particular palette. And you would be able to create different looks and feels based on the palette that you've put in here, instead of having to go through and manually recolour everything to match your brand. You can also create brand fonts, both in terms of selecting them inside Canva and uploading them. So you could upload a font that was a specific font. So some of the ones that we use at MacBites, like the comic fonts, probably wouldn't be there, but I could upload them as extras. But obviously to get that, you either need to be in a trial of the Pro version or have the Pro version. But that would be a huge time saver. Then you've got the ability to create a team, which is where you add them for £4.99. So it is actually easier to do that for people and cheaper to do that than having their own account. But this is the only way to actually create that kind of team. So again, that's a Pro feature. Then you've got all your folders. So this is your designs and what's shared with you, what you like, what's uploaded, what things you've bought, and anything you've deleted. And then in your trash, I do have things that I've deleted. So this is some of the stuff that I deleted. And these are the designs. If you've got images in there, they'll be in there, and videos will be in there. So even your trash can is sorted. It's all organised. Renee says, bless you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's what we've got if we are here. Right, but of course you want to create something, don't you? So let's have a look at one of the templates. So let's create something. Should we post something to Instagram? Or maybe Facebook. We'll do an Instagram post. So I'll click on Instagram posts, and that takes you through to a page where you can start creating your Instagram. So you've got your breadcrumbs, you are in templates, you are in Instagram posts. So they're all going to be square for a start. No, it was a sneeze. Right, so what you've got here is like a starting point, and don't these look very Instagramish? Very Instagramish. Now, there may be one that's like, oh, I'm really liking that. I really like that. Like this readathon thing. Now, that one's actually a paid one. If you look at the thing at the bottom, it's got a little sign on it, meaning it's a paid one. So each of them have that if they're paid, but some like this are free. So the ones that are paid, you can either choose to buy them individually. So if you don't want a Pro account, you just want that readathon one, you could buy it. But over time, if you're talking at £8 for a month, by the time you've bought 1 and 3 pictures, you might as well just subscribe and be done. Wow, why is it $120 for you to upgrade to Pro, Debbie? Do you have somebody else on the account as well? No, it should be just $99.99. Although, is that the English price? Is it more expensive in the States? Can you find out, Mike? Because I'm looking at the English price, so maybe they're just showing me that. But it's probably cheaper to subscribe than it is to buy these things individually. But I want something, and I'm not looking for something that's like, if I want it that kind of colour, but don't think, oh, I don't like that colour, I want something. So say like this one. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But that's not MacBites colour.
£100 a year.
It's £100, but I'm wondering if that is $120. It shouldn't be, because ours would include VAT. So that 99, unless it doesn't include VAT. Can you just check if that includes VAT? If it doesn't include VAT, then ours would be 120. But I would have thought that the price that was quoted was the price they were actually charging. Let's have a look. Well, Google it, Mike. Google it. Doesn't tell you if it includes VAT, but it's charged in pounds, so it should include it. Hang on, are you billing monthly? Because that would be 120. Make sure the billing's set to yearly. Oh, you see, they want 10 more euros off you as well. Has anything ever been more expensive in America than over here? I've never witnessed such a thing. That's true, actually. 2 is showing at 180. Wow. Make sure you've got yearly billing turned on. Other than that, we will investigate that. Good job we're doing this over 2 weeks, isn't it? Right, so this one here I'm interested in. I like the kind of confetti look on it, but I'm not keen on the yellow. But I can still click it. That will open it up. And it gives me then some information about it, that it's confetti, it's the Brazil Instagram post, fully customisable, personal and commercial use. Do you want to use this? Yes, absolutely. Right, that opens it up in the editor. So what we've got in the editor is down the side, we have all the tools that are available to us. Next to that, so the first one at the moment in this sidebar, which can be collapsed, so if you're working on it in a different way. But what we're looking at here is the templates. So if you look at that template and now it's large, you think, you know what, not 100% sold. Then you can carry on looking down here. And what it's going to offer you is some templates based on what you've picked. Well, if you don't like that, maybe you like this one, maybe you like that. Remember though, as you hover over them, some will say free and some will be paid for. So what's that one? That one does not say free, but that one does. But I'm going to stick with this one. I'm going to work with it. Okay. So first thing I might want to do. Paul's got 120 built. I've never seen this. All I can assume based on that is either for the first time ever, something's cheaper here than abroad. More likely that doesn't include VAT. So Mike, if you get onto the FAQ and have a look, does it include VAT?
It doesn't say in the FAQ.
Do the Google. Somebody must say you quoted this and then had to pay VAT, because you're going to get a month free, so it isn't going to tell you even if I did that right now, because they're not going to bill you, are they, until much later. Then you'll find out how much it really costs. Okay, so what I'm doing in here is you would get the opportunity to upload something. So these are the photos that I have uploaded. These are the photos that were used on that MacBites Advent calendar thing that I did. So if I want to sort of say on here, oh, we did something about, let's say it's Excel Formulas 101. I can stick that in as a graphic. So I can put that on there and say, this was one thing that we did. And I can rotate that a bit as well. And I could download that one and do the same, just drag and drop. And it's so smooth. It is really nice and smooth. Right, even Mike could use this, which was what I said earlier, wasn't it?
Thanks.
You know you're not keen on graphics. But the other thing that you may have noticed happening was as I was dragging these images, as I get into there, it's going to drop that and put it as an image, just like the other two. But as I move it over images, it will replace it, which is like, whoa, that's fast. But I could also have it as a background if I hover just towards the edge. But let's say I want to replace that one. That is so cool. So cool. Right, so we've got a couple of graphics of ours on there. These are really tiny graphics, that's why it was blurry. Also, you get access to photos. So these aren't my photos. These are photos that are being provided by Canva. So obviously these were to do with podcasts, and both of that one was free, that one was paid for. If I want to put one on here and say, like, it's the MacBites Carnival, I click once and I've got then the fact that that is a podcast on there, so it looks podcasty. And that is totally free to use. This one is a pro one, but that doesn't mean that you can't click it and get a copy and think, is that something I want to use? So basically what it does with a pro photo is added with a watermark on it. And then you've got the remove watermarks option, which would enable you to buy that single image. So rather than a subscription, it would give you one image that you could buy. And that's usually somewhere between $1 to $3, something like that.
This says pricing starts from $10.99 a month, including VAT. But it was $11.99.
Well, there you go. So it includes VAT. Never heard anything like it. Oh, that's something wrong there. And it charges you $12.99, but you're in the UK. How bizarre. Maybe it's a special offer at the moment. I don't know. We will investigate that. But as I say, I think a subscription, depending on how much you use it, but even if you're using it 2-3 times a week for 1 or 2 graphics, I can imagine it would mount up if you have where you just buy the images. There are quite a few free images. If we look down here, a lot of these are free. Something I did try that one yesterday. That's why it's offering me that one. But once you get onto something like, so let's say up here, search millions of images. Well, I looked for podcast, and that was what it came up with. And some of them, I thought that one's nice because it's so minimal. So I can drag and drop that and see how that would look. And it looks great, but that's a paid for one. This one, that was totally free. So the watermark is only there because of it being a pro photo. That one would be great for book club. I'm liking that. I am liking that. I looked and I thought this one looks great, and the on-air one looks great, and they're all pro ones. So I can see a pro subscription in my future purely for speed. Of course I can do all of this in Affinity Designer, but who's got the time? Carol says $9.99 a month. Oh, good grief. Maybe the prices went up. Maybe, do you remember, what was that app where we all had different prices? And it was hugely different. Oh, what was it? Was it Camtasia?
I can't remember.
We all had this thing, and I'd been quoted something like $79, and everyone else got like 190 odd. And like, what? And if you refresh, and if you cleared your cookies, and if you tried a different browser, and if you went through a VPN, you all got different prices. It was ridiculous. We'll investigate properly and work out how much this is. See, that was not something I thought I would need to investigate separately. I would have just thought, well, there's a price and that's it. Clearly not, but we'll investigate. This one would be perfect for book club, wouldn't it? Because I must admit, with book club, if there's an audio version, I will have the audio version as well. Want both. And I listened to the first book on audio at 3 times, I think, because I was usually doing it in the 30 minutes before the session. Naughty me. Don't let this get back to Bo, will you? What happens in MacBites After Hours stays in MacBites After Hours. But there is no audio version of How to Take Smart Notes, apart from our read-through, which would be cool, wouldn't it? Somebody should do a version of that. That would be amazing. But that would definitely work for that. So basically, you can search for images. You've also got in here that you can search by colour. So if I'm looking for things that would complement MacBites, there you go. I'm looking for podcasts, but I've refined the search for podcast-related things that are orange. Now we're rock and rolling. Oh, yes, this is much better. So you can refine that as you go, which is very useful. Some of those are free as well, I think. Yep, some of these are free. Right, in addition to that, you can refine it even further. So it's kept the orange, but then you're changing underneath. So maybe you want something about recording. And these are all bang on point as far as I'm concerned. One thing I'd probably do without a recording studio, I'd probably refine this and I'd be looking for blue and apply that, because I might want that for by request, and by request is blue. Catenium blue. Okay, and as you hover over some of these, pay 99 pence for this image. Others may be more than that. I have seen some at £3, but each of those is 99 pence. So you get a price for them as well. In addition to photos, you've also got elements. So these are vector-based elements that you can scale. So you've got icons and you've got shapes. So some are featured and you can scroll across them. So if for whatever reason we would like that, oh, this is going to look really bad, isn't it, by the time I've finished? We'll do some proper stuff next week, but this is showing you the features. That might not look bad, although it's going to come in with all sorts on it because it's a pro thing. But there we go, added all of these. But in addition to that, you've got standard stuff like lines. And it's just easier to work with this stuff probably. I mean, you can do a line in Affinity Designer, obviously. And as long as you know how to format that line and put an arrowhead on it, but Mike's not going to know that. So it's for speed and it's for when I don't know how to use a graphics editor. But there's all kinds of stuff in here. So charts on it, grids on it, you name it. People, very, very useful just to get something out the door and get it out the door fast. You know what I need to look at in here, don't you? In this search. Search the icons and shapes. It's got to be done. What have you got in the way of pandas? Oh, my life is complete. Right, let's have him. Oh, I'm loving this. In fact, I think I can start getting rid of some other stuff because once I've got a panda, I'm happy. Oh, look at him. Just incredible, the range of options that you've got. Right, so in here, let's start getting rid of some of these because what I actually want to do in here, I might even have to lose the panda. We'll leave you alone. Right, what I really want to do in here is start making some changes to this to make it more MacBitesy. And the stuff here, I've got text that I can edit. I can change the font. So I've got all the fonts that are available or any font that you've uploaded on a pro account. You can change the size of it. So if I wanted that to be bigger particularly, you can change the colour of it. So if we want it to be MacBites Orange, which we don't, we probably want black and we want that to stand out on MacBites Orange. Oh, D says, how many subscriptions would I say I have? I could notion that and tell you exactly, but then we'd cry. I have quite a few. Yes, I do. Rome, Notion, Craft, brace yourselves, Creative Cloud, 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. There's quite a few. But it helps me get the job done. If I didn't spend money on services, I'd be spending money on assistants to help get the job done because I wouldn't be able to get the job done quite as fast. Right, so I'm changing the font in here, but in addition to what you've got, so if that's not bad, but it's not really what I'm looking for, you've got all the usual things with text, and you can even animate the thing if you want. So if you wanted it to fade in or fade out, then, I mean, obviously, with these, you would have to export in a format that supported the animation, or there wouldn't be much point, would there? So let's get rid of that. So we'll go for... what I'm doing here is choosing a style for that. So I'm choosing a style for it. So I could change that completely. That's not pretty, actually, is it? That one's not bad. Kind of fits, doesn't it? These are the effects you've got on the text. Right, you can also ungroup and group and move position, change the transparency. What I was actually thinking of doing with this was totally getting rid of all of this. So I don't need any of this. I'm going to put my own stuff in it, so I'll get rid of that. Right, this background that I've got, right, so I've looked at the text in here. The text will allow me to drag and drop a heading on, which is the default text style, if you remember, from the Pro account where you've got your branding. You could decide which 3 appear in there because they're your branding. Renee's sharp here, isn't it? Good evening, Simon. How are you doing? Have you recovered? Oh, I know what we need to do for Simon. Where's those pickies gone? The elements. We've just put a panda in, but I feel that we need to find a cow, a happy-looking cow. There we go. There you go, Simon. Welcome to the show. I'm going to let Simon explain that in the chat. Unless you want to risk it, Mike. Google have muted Mike, haven't they? Anyway, these text things. These are the ones that would come from your branding kit. Obviously, at the moment, I don't have a branding kit. But what I did do was scroll down here and think, oh, these look nice. Particularly this Open 24/7 one, which obviously MacBites FM is. So I'll get rid of the cow now. We've seen the cow. So I actually dragged on one of these. Now, it's clearly the wrong colour. But everything that's in here, you can actually edit. So if I'm now editing the 24/7, and I can go into here and choose the orange, and now I've got the MacBites orange on it, which makes it look much better, doesn't it? Right, so in your text, you've got 2 things. You've got a block that you can drag and drop. You've also got these combinations of fonts with particular styles already on them. So this one is actually 2 text elements grouped together. You've got glow, you've got styles, you've got drop shadows, all kinds of stuff in there to just drag and drop and change as you would. So this particular look for the wild sail, you often see that. That is so often there. And it just fits. It just looks right. So I've got me open 24/7 with the text. You can also add audio. Audio is a nightmare to try and search through. I'd probably want, if I was looking for something upbeat, I'd probably say electro 80s or something like that. And if I could spell, I'd be even more dangerous. Right, so I've got fireworks, euphoric. It's difficult to search audio. You have to go for a mood of audio. So we'll do that when we do a video next time. But at the moment, there you go. Right, you've also got the same with video. And again, these are things you might want to put in the background and they will be moving. So if we put in like that free one there and had that as the background and we exported this as a GIF, then that would go with it. And now you've got moving things as well. It's terrifying, isn't it? Poor Simon had a near miss today with Dusty the dog. But they both made it home unscathed. So no harm done, hopefully. Right, so I've done the background with a video. You can also do the background with a background. So if this isn't for MacBites, if this is me trying to sell like McCraft stuff, are you actually going to add that to there or not? Come on the edge. In you go. There we go. Doesn't exactly fit with the open 24/7, but it just gives you a lot of scope. A lot of scope. Quite liking that one myself. Oh, it'd stand out against that one, wouldn't it? So you've got all these backgrounds as well. Now, again, some of these will be free. Some of them, particularly as you start scrolling down, will be paid for. A lot of the backgrounds are free, more than the pictures I've found. So the backgrounds themselves, very useful because there are so many of them. So if I wanted a football one for the new Super League that's not happening, I can even choose that. Then you've got your folders, and your folders will be where you've put your stuff, what you've bought, what you like, that kind of stuff, so you can get to it and drag and drop it into here. So if you had bought anything, you would go into there and anything you'd purchased would be available to add to this image. So there's your folders there, and that's also purchased there. There we go. Right, you've got more down at the bottom and even more to choose from, which I was quite interested in with this. You've got styles and charts, but you've also got things down here like maps and QR codes, which is very useful. I mean, we've got apps that can do that, but again, it's speed. You can hook it up to Dropbox, Google Drive. So if you've got some content on there that you haven't actually uploaded, you can pull it straight off one of your cloud services. And then I got to the interesting bit, which is this bit here, which is search and add YouTube videos to your designs. And I'm thinking, really? Because if a video is not watched on YouTube, then the creator doesn't get paid for it. So what exactly is this? Anyway, I'll find out when I do it for the presentation next week. But it's got all of these extra things that you can hook into. So you've got your box account. What are we likely to have here? Possibly Bitmojis. But again, probably not that many of those. I don't have that many of those other services. And we've got our artwork. Not great, is it? Let me go back to where I had, did I have elements? Did you have elements? Were the elements? Let's go for a background. Right, let's put something on here that we can actually read. So how about an orangey one that looks MacBites-ish? There we go. Right, so let's put in our MacBites FM. Oh, somebody better tell Simon not to type a link in, or all heck will break loose. YouTube's having a moment. Anybody putting a link in is getting nuked. Couldn't make it up. Okay, so I've got something really plain, but I'm happy with it. Right, what I can do at that point with this one is I can actually add another page to it. So if I wanted like an A/B test, then I could do something similar. So say get a background on it, but then take this element and go down to there and paste it on there. So I can do an A/B test very, very quickly, which again, I find that really useful. You can also, once you've started doing that, you might want to put a page title on it. So this one is, you know, the orange one. And this one is the B version. This one's yellow. So just for organisation sense, incredibly useful. Then in here, you can move them down, reorganise them. You can add extra ones. In that case, instead of adding a page, you're actually duplicating that page. So if you wanted that as a starting point, you could do that, again, to create multiple versions of it. And that was your add page that I actually used. Then, of course, having done it, you then need to download these things. So you have download options up here. It makes a suggestion for you of PNG, which in this case would work nicely. If I'd created something in here, though, that had a transparent background, I'd need to be on the Pro account to download it with a transparent background. If I wanted a lower quality, I'd need to be on the Pro account. If I want to change the size, so maybe I want it twice the size, I'd need to be on the Pro account. In here, it's PNG suggested, but you can go in and choose alternatives, including, so obviously PNG, JPEG, PDF. You could get this in a PDF. You could get print quality PDF, all for free. You can get the video for free and the GIF for free. But if you want an SVG, which is a vector version, then you need to be on the Pro account for that. But what I'll do here is I'll say we'll stick to PNG. Let's make it simple. You can then choose what you actually download. So this is obviously nowhere near as powerful, but similar in concept to what the export persona would do. So I want them both. So I'll just leave that at all pages and then hit download, and it will think about downloading them. Renee needs Pro. Sarah's never looked at folders, and that's where my logo is. It couldn't work out how to add them quickly. Seriously need to look into it more. Used it loads, but there's obviously more. That's the thing with it. There's always more, isn't there? There's always more. Right, so what I've got down here, it's created a zip file. There it is. Let's get the mouse pointer back on there. There's the zip file. We don't need to see all of that, do we? Let's open that up. That's what's in the zip file. So it uses the name that I typed in. And there's the page. Let's get that in the middle. That's that graphic. And there's the other graphic. Really good quality. Really good size. What's not to like? You'll notice that one's much bigger than that one. That is because when you use PNG, the files tend to be bigger where there's a lot of different things going on. By comparison, that's 2.7 meg, whereas this one is only 400k. And it's because the solid areas, so all of the solid areas that are plain, are really simple and don't take much in the way of storage. But because this one's got a texture on the background, there's a lot more elements to store, and that's why the file size is so much different. That one would have been easy. I mean, you can't upload that. Well, you can upload that to social, but it'll download slowly. You'd probably be better with a JPEG for that one. But you can export as JPEG if you need to, can't you? So what I thought we'd do with this, we've got the basics here. And this is the basics, right? We've created a graphic. We've looked at all of the elements over here. But it can do so many different things. I thought we will head over and we will do some of that next week. But just to give you a bit of a teaser to show you the kind of things it can do. If you go into the templates, and this time I'm going into... the classroom ones were good. The worksheets and the lesson plans. Obviously not worksheets in terms of that I would give out to my attendees, unless they particularly wanted to colour in unicorns. Mind you, some of my attendees might want to colour in unicorns.
I did that the other week.
You let them colour in unicorns?
Yeah, we have pink unicorns in a bar chart.
There are no words. Right, but what you can do here, you know, for children, these are finished. So if you're a teacher, or you wanted to keep your child occupied, or even more so that the grandchildren, when they arrive, keep them occupied, you've got all kinds of things that you can do in here. Should we have the parrot one, or should we have something more exciting than that? Let's go for the crossword one there. There we go. So all you need to do is to click that. Now this one is free, so it's not got a price on it. You can click use the template, and you are straight in and you can use it. So if you have a particular objection to the fact that, you know, this is this colour and you would like it a different colour, you can make changes to that as you go. Maybe it's all the boys that are doing this one, so I'm going to make them pink. I don't agree with pink for girls and then blue for boys. No. Right, there we go. So I need to change that up here. So in fact, I've actually selected the circle. So it's the background that I need to change in there. No, I don't know where they've put the background. Is the background in here? Could it be that one? No, where on earth's the background? Or maybe the text is over the top of it and I can't select it. Because I can certainly select that one and I can select that one. So maybe the text is over the top of it. So we'll have a purple one for that, in honour of the purple iMac. But what you've actually got there, if we zoom in, this is fantastic for kids. We could have the MacBites crossword. Shall I do that next week? Shall we do the MacBites crossword for next week? Oh dear, Friday nights cost Renee dearly. Could you exchange some of your good husband points for money? Is it like Green Shield stamps? You can swap them for money. Because we know it was Mrs. Renee's birthday and Renee got extra good husband points this week. Well, I'll tell you what, you could take the trial, but wait until next week. And then what I'm going to do next week is some proper stuff for MacBites and the presentations, because you have a whole thing in here. This could save you money. If you took a Pitch subscription, you'd be paying for Pitch and only being able to do presentations. But in here, you get presentations, and it's so like Pitch. It's amazing. So you choose the template that you want to work with. So say you want something like a group weekly update. When you click it, you've got all of these master slides to go at. You could either add them by applying all 16 at once, very much like Pitch, or you could say, yeah, we'll start with that one, right, and then I'll add a new one, and this one I want one of these, and then add another slide, and let's do the chart thing, and then we'll do the number thing, and I'm going to keep it really short, and then we'll do the thank you thing. And this is, you can actually deliver it from here as well. Simon's never got any points. Oh no, Simon. But the fact that you came home safe should be worth some points to you, really. So we are going to carry on with Canva next week. What we've done so far is we've almost managed to work out how much it is, but we need to make sure, don't we? And we've seen how we can create something simple from a template. What I'll do next week, I will take the trial and we'll look at the pro features and we'll use all the graphics and we'll actually create some stuff. So for the moment, either take the trial or go create a free account. Don't forget the link is at macbites.fm. That will give you some credits and it will give me a credit. So macbites.fm and get yourself an account. And then we will meet again this time next week. And we will create more things in Canva. I'm seeing a use for Canva. Whereas obviously when I started it 7-9 years ago, however long ago it was. Let's have a look. Let's go back to the home. Where's that thing? All of my designs. Yeah, but it was over here. 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, I created that and then left it alone. And I left it alone for 7 years, 2013. I left it alone for 6 years and then did one more. And then I didn't do anything after that. But I'm beginning to see now that I could save time with this. And time is money. Time time would be worth more than the £100 it would cost, as far as I'm concerned. But your mileage may vary. But there's always the free account, isn't there? You could take the 30-day trial anyway. So I will give you the freebie and then we will head over to Mike. Right, freebie this week is from Passion Planner. They have a free spring cleaning guide. Yes, I needed that. I definitely needed that. There's two different versions. There is the small version and the larger version. The small one looks like that. It's the A5 one. I think it's got four pages on it, I think. Possibly 2, but basically it's how you're going to tidy up and declutter. So I thought that was funny. At least it gives you an outline of the KonMari method. So if you would like that, the URL is on the screen, but there is also a QR code. And we'll hand over to Mike when he's good and ready.
I'm good and ready.
You're good and ready. Have you put that? Oh no, you're not putting that link in, are you, Mike?
I'll put it in MacBites FM.
The links are all in MacBites FM tonight. What can I say? Right, let's get your screen. And are you ready?
Yeah.
Over to Mike. There he is.
Right, I'm going to do an extra demo as well as the one that I was going to do. And it's the pink unicorn demo. So here I have just a simple bar chart in Excel, some random numbers, some days of the week. Doesn't really matter what this data represents. I've just knocked together a very simple bar chart, and what I want to do is I want to display pink unicorns. So it is kind of related to what I'm doing because it is infographics in Excel. So I will click on a blank cell. I'll go to Insert, I'll go to Icons, I will search for unicorn, I will choose a unicorn and click on Insert. I will then have the unicorn selected and go to Graphics Format, Graphics Fill. There's a pink colour. They call it lavender, but it looks pink to me. So that's a recent one because I was just testing it out before, but I can always go to more colours and pick a different one from here. There we go, that's a bit more pink. And then just a simple copy, select the bars and a paste. Now what it does by default is it stretches that image to fill the bar. So I need to right click onto one of those bars. They are still bars, they're just filled with unicorns. Go to Format Data Series, go to the paint pot icon, and where is it? Oh, it's under Fill, not Border. There it is, Stack. Set it to Stack. And now we have pink unicorns. That actually came about because I was doing a demo at work and somebody noticed a unicorn in the icon set. And I said, she said, oh, unicorns. I said, okay, we'll do a pink unicorn then. So there we go. That wasn't the main demo for tonight, by the way.
Thankfully.
I just thought I'd throw that one in there. She was on my course again a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what this means, Kim? One of Mike's women.
I said, Sylvia, you're back. Pink unicorns. There you go. No, that wasn't my main demo. My main demo tonight is where's it gone? There. No, it's not that one. It is that one. It's creating something like this, which is, it's an infographic. It's in Excel, and it is showing the percentage of people within a region, whether how many people have been vaccinated in terms of a percentage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove the elements from this spreadsheet and recreate them. Okay, so basically get this down to pretty much a blank spreadsheet. I'm also going to get rid of the pink unicorn sheet and just remove some elements from this setup sheet. So I'm effectively starting from scratch, but I wanted to show you what we were aiming at, or aiming to get. So we were aiming to get that graphic that I had up there with the world map and then the 3 different charts based on the different locations. So excuse me, so how have I done it? Well, on the setup sheet I went to A1. I'm actually going to completely clear what's in A1 and also completely clear these cells. So start totally from scratch. So in A1, what I did is I went to Insert Symbol and I went to the Wingdings font. You can actually use any font, but the Wingdings font and the Webdings fonts are the ones that have all the symbols in. So I went to the Wingdings font and I chose a square. There's loads of different symbols here, but I chose the square, which is there, and I clicked on Insert and closed. And what it's done is it has put that symbol into A1. So it's not treating it as like like the icons that are on a separate layer. It's actually embedded it into that cell. And if I go to the Home tab, it has changed that the font of that cell to Wingdings. Okay, so that's the first thing that I did. Just picked a random cell. I've picked A1, but random cell, any cell will do. Okay, then in here I have just some headings: EMEA, USA and Australia and Asia Pac. In column B I have percentages. So that in this example is showing the percentage of that country that has been vaccinated. And then in column C I've combined together with a formula columns A and B. Then if I go to D2, what I want to do is I want it to give me a certain number of those symbols. So I want it to repeat that symbol In this case, 78 times, 56 times, and 35 times. To do that, I'm going to use a function. It's the REPT function, equals rept. So equals rept, open brackets, specify the text, which is A1, and I want A1 to be absolute because I want to be able to copy that formula down for the row 3 and row 4, put in a comma, and then the number of times. Now, the number of times can either be a static value like 10, or it can be a formula that generates a value. In this case, it's going to be B2 multiplied by 100. Because what's actually in B2 is 0.78, not 78. So it's going to then give us 78. And there we go. Now, it's showing me 78 ends. And the reason it's showing me 78 ends is because that cell has got the Calibri font attached to it. But if I go and change that font to Wingdings, there we go, it's now showing 78 black squares. So I'll copy that formula down, paste it and paste it. So we're now seeing 78 squares, 56 squares and 35 squares. Let's also change the colours. So let's change the colour of D2 to red, which I can do just with the standard font colour button. Let's also change the colour of D3. So let's change that to blue and change D4 to green. So basically all I've got in those 3 cells is a character. It just happens to be the Wingdings character 110. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but when you go to insert symbol and then you choose a symbol, that one happens to be Wingdings character code 110, which when you've got Calibri font applied is the letter N. When you've got Wingdings font applied is the square. So all I've done is told it to repeat that character a certain number of times. And that rept function is actually very useful in other situations. I've done it to repeat a number of ticks, you know, the tick and the cross symbol. I could even use it something like this, rept. I'll use an actual character equals comma 10. So I'm getting it to give me a double line by repeating the equals 10 times. But basically what I've done there is the setup. So I'm now going to go to my other sheet. I've already turned the grid lines off by going to View and taking the tick out of grid lines. The COVID-19 vaccination program is just a text box that I added with insert text box, and then I just typed in the text. And then what I want is I want a background for the map. Now you could use any background you like. So if you go to Pixabay, or if you go to any other site like that, probably Canva. But what I'm after is an image with a background of the map, or a map background, which, as it happens, I can get by going to Insert Picture, Stock Images. I can use one of the built-in stock images that you get in the latest versions of Microsoft Office. So if I do a search for map, which one shall I pick? I think it was that one. So I'll select that one, click on Insert. No, it wasn't that one. So let's delete that one and do it again. Insert Pictures, Stock Images, and search for map. Don't suppose it matters which one I use. I'll go with that one. Click on Insert. Yeah, that one will do. And then maybe stretch that a little bit, something like that. But I then want to send that to the back, so I'll go to Send to Back, so that now that graphic has gone to the back. Bring that down a little bit. And with that graphic selected, if I go to picture format transparency and make it something like an 80% transparency, that just melts it into the background. If that's the right word. Melt? I don't know. Meld. Okay, thank you. Right. Now, I want some text boxes. So I'm going to say insert text box and draw out a text box over here. So that can be our USA heading, if you like. And that is going to come from here. Well, no, it's going to come from here, which is C3. So C3 on the setup sheet, and I'll make it blue as well. So let's set the background to blue, which I can do with shape format, shape fill, and make that blue. And then put the formula in, which is equals setup, pick up that cell there, C3. And I'll also make the text white and make the text larger and center it. Okay, so there's our heading. If I just copy and paste that, drag that over to there, have it a bit higher actually, and paste again and have that over there. I know Australia's a little bit further down, but it was Australia and Asia Pacific. If I want those three to line up, I can select them and then shape format, align bottom, so they all line up, and then just go and change the formula. So that one would be set up, that was EMEA, wasn't it? So it's that one there, and select that one and change the formula to be Asia Pacific and Australia, which is that cell there. Hang on, let's go back. I need to put equals and then select that cell there. And then if I use the format painter to copy the formatting from that first text box to that one and that one, and I'll also need to make that text box a little bit bigger. There we go. So there's my heading. So I need to change the colours as well of the backgrounds. So EMEA was red and Australia was green. So let's make the background of that red and make the background of that green. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to get the little squares in. So to get the squares in, I will create a text box. So insert text box, draw out a text box, make the background of the text box have no fill. So shape format, shape fill, no fill. Also remove the border, but I'll come back and do that in a minute because I want to see where the text box is. And then for the formula for the text box, I will put equals setup sheet and select D3. What I'll also do is I'll make that bigger. So let's change that to 16 points. Didn't it take that? There we go, 16 points. And I'll also remove the border from that, so no outline. So there we go. So if I then just copy and paste that, move that over there and paste again and move that over there. And then with that selected, that one wants to be picked up from the EMEA cell, which is D2. And for some reason it doesn't look like it's applied the format. There we go. And that one needs to be picked up from the Australia one. So go and change the formula for that one. which is that one there, and also change the size. Oh, it's not picking up the size. There we go, that's better. Okay, so what I've done there is I've done an infographic that is showing you the percentages, and if I was to change any of these percentages, let's say I was to change Australia, because I know that I think Paul said he has his AZ vaccine today. So let's say I change that to 50%. Let's go back and look at the graphic, and it has changed it. It's changed that to 50%, and it's now displaying that with 50 squares. Okay, so that is this week's infographic. Just to give you a taster of next week's infographic, because this kind of infographic is actually called a waffle chart. Next week's infographic is going to look like that. Unless I change my mind and embed.
I thought you were going to say it looks like a waffle with the chunk taken out because I've eaten some.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of embedding a unicorn in it. But there we go. Okay, so hope you found that useful. Do we have any questions?
Wingding fun.
Wingding fun, yeah, wingding fun. Certainly.
Right, okay. Let me press some magic buttons. Where's the magic buttons? There's the magic buttons. Because I've got other things to set up, haven't I, Mike? And if I don't set them up now, they won't get set up at all. Right, so let's press buttons. There we go. There's a button being pushed. Right, okay. I will switch over here. Right, mastering the OS Finder. Who thinks they know everything about the macOS Finder?
Dee wants the unicorns back.
Oh,
I'll bring
unicorns.
them back. I'll bring them back next week, Dee.
The Finder, you can go as deep as you like. It's one of those apps. I find it on the Mac. And to be honest, it's the same with Windows Explorer, isn't it, Mike? If you think about it. It doesn't feel like an app. It feels like it's built in. So I started questioning myself and thinking, why does it not feel like an app? And my biggest problem with it, it's got a lovely, lovely smiley face on it, hasn't it? Where's my mouse pointer? Mouse pointer has died. Again. Oh, you can do it. You can. Come on, lovely smiley face. Hey! Just been there forever. They don't seem to do anything with it. Obviously, it gets the Chrome of the new OSs, but they never seem to say like, oh, we've added this, we've added that. They have, but you kind of forget it's there. And the biggest thing for me is, let me know if this happens to you. Every time I open the Finder, it opens a random window at a random size on a random monitor, and it infuriates me. Just open it where I left it, to the size I left it, with the view I left it with. But it doesn't seem to do that. So that's my biggest bugbear with it. I have had a few other problems with it. So I thought what I'd do in this Finder series, and this was requested by more than one of you. Kim says she knows nothing. You will do by the end. I'm going to start off with all of the little tweaks before we even start looking at views and stuff. Because, again, another reason is, if it was a standard application, it would have a set of preferences and they would be inside the application and that would be it. But the way that the Finder works, they're all over the place. There are many options that impact how the Finder works and what it looks like that are nowhere near the Finder preferences. So I'm going to start straight from the beginning, where you've got absolutely nothing else going on. I have my Finder looking like that. I do manage its placement by having shortcuts to move it to the left, to move it to the right, and to put it in the middle, and to go full screen. None of which comes from Finder. It doesn't have any of those options. You've got to jiggle around with all of the settings within your Finder to make it do those kind of things, and it just doesn't. Luckily, they did add the ability to have tabs, because until then it was virtually unusable as far as I was concerned. But even then there was a lot missing. So when I start explaining to people what the Finder is, obviously it's for Finder, it's for file management. My stuff that I have in the sidebar doesn't really change apart from these two folders, which are what I use in the week. But I'm going to go even further back than that. We're going to go right back to the very first things that you can do that will impact what this looks like. And the first place that you would be heading off to see this is in your system preferences. If you go into your system preferences and you go into general, there are things in there that will impact how your Finder looks. Obviously, starting level, you've got light, dark or automatic, where it switches itself when it gets dark, which plays with my mind. I don't prefer my computer dark. I much prefer it light. But obviously, if you do prefer it dark, there you go. It's very strange for me because I do prefer certain applications to be dark, like editing applications. Just the rest of it, no, because it plays with my mind. I'm not particularly fond of that.
I actually set Teams up on my work laptop with a dark background because the sun was shining downstairs.
It can be useful for when the sun's shining.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the UK, that doesn't happen much, so you won't be using it often like that. But that's the first thing that would fundamentally change how that looked. Because the dark is very different from the light, obviously, you have the opportunity to have an accent colour. So with that, if it was dark, it would make maybe more sense to have the accent colour set to yellow or orange. What we're talking about is that. So when something is selected like that, if we made the accent colour lovely and pink, I mean, who could look at it? Oh, make it stop. But that's what it's talking about. I think the blue works for me, but that pink, I find that distracting in that dialog box. It looks so unnatural. It doesn't look much better in many of the other colours, to be honest. But I think if you had it dark, then the yellow and the orange might look better. But nothing but the blue, not even the grey, because that just looks like it's broken. Nothing but the blue makes sense to me for that. But the reason it's important is when you go into the Finder, when something is selected, it's that accent colour it will use. Oh, everyone's using dark mode here. I'm loving Dee's reason. Dark mode makes me feel I'm doing more important things than I am. Everybody loves dark mode, yeah, apart from me, which I don't. I've quite a lot in dark mode, just not the Finder. Not in dark mode, no. But point being, the way that you change that is not per the Finder, it's actually the entire global system preferences. So let's set that black to blue so my mind can settle its little self. Right, then you've got your highlight colour, so you can choose a different colour in there. Your sidebar icon size, I can't remember what the default is. I can't remember. But you've got small, medium and large as an option. So if we do that, it fundamentally changes your Finder. I think I might have made that medium. I can't remember. Have a look and tell me what everybody else's is. Because if you've not changed it, but you know, if you want it larger, if your old eyes are going a bit, you can change that. But again, it's a system-wide setting. It's not going into the Finder preferences and changing them in there, which is why controlling the Finder can be confusing because these things are in multiple places. Let's set that back to medium before I get used to it. Right, you can even in here, and this isn't particularly to do with the Finder, but it is to do with the view. You're probably aware that in the system preferences, you have preferences for the dock. And I don't see the dock at all. You see how small it is? In fact, why is it that big? There we go. And that is on the left-hand side, as far as I'm concerned. Do you know that is a smidgen on the small side? My eyes aren't what they were. Right, I have mine on the left-hand screen all the way across, and I don't see it. But they added a feature a couple of versions back in the general, which is to not automatically show and hide the dock, but automatically show and hide the menu bar, this bit at the top. So if you want to get a little bit of screen real estate back, you can actually have that hiding. Obviously it comes back if you hover up there, but it can actually totally hide, which gives you a smidgen more space to have your Finder. Now it looks like it's sort of in full screen, but it's not in full screen and it's playing with my mind. Right, so I will bring that back, but you can do that if you want to do that. Right, another one that can cause complete havoc is this show scroll bars, which Mike and I have a difference of opinion on this, don't we, Mike?
We do.
Mike wants to see them all the time. I've got mine set to automatically based on mouse or trackpad, which is the default. Why does it matter? Well, in the Finder, it's not that bad. I mean, obviously that's not going to scroll because there's not enough in there to scroll. But if we scoot that, we can't even scoot it high enough in there. So what we're going to need, let's duplicate these and keep doing it. There we go. We'll delete them shortly, but we've got duplicates, which means when I go up there, I get this scroll bar that disappears. So even when I'm hovering over it, which I am, it doesn't come back. But when I move the wheel, it does come back to show me that I'm actually moving. Now, why is that such a nightmare? Well, you may have this set in such a way like that you think that's all the files that you're seeing, and there's no visual indication that you can scroll that and find more files. Obviously, most people go up to it and try scrolling and see that there is actually more files. That's the least of your problems with that option. Trust me, it gets way worse than that. So let's get rid of those and go back in here. Right. The major problem I had with it has been two problems. One is where you scroll and the bar doesn't come back and you don't know whether there's any more or not. And that sometimes happens in applications. The second thing that was a living nightmare is that when you are using presentation software, if you have that set to what it's set to now, PowerPoint doesn't understand. And I don't get the sideways scroll on it at all. Then we're talking the sideways scroll. So I can't use the mouse wheel to move left and right. It just doesn't work. If I turn them on to say always show the scroll bars, then I do. Oh, it's pug ugly. Oh, good grief, it was pug ugly when I turned it on. Some applications work on the principle, so I'm showing it on now. Now it's always on over here, and of course if that had more in it, there'd be a scroll bar on there. So there's actually a scroll bar at the side now. What it does is put that all over the place, and I actually thought it looked worse in the dark one. Now that really does look ugly because it's too light. The scroll bar's too light in my opinion, so it doesn't then look pretty at all. It's applications that are not understanding this automatically based on the mouse or trackpad thing and coding it accordingly. So just be aware that if you're thinking I've got some kind of issue, either that's showing and it's ugly, or you don't want to see it, whatever, then that's the default to actually hide it and just scroll up and down here as and when you want, and then it will disappear. I know I'm going to blind you now, going back to light, aren't I? So they're just a few things to be aware of. The other thing that's in this section of the preferences in general is your default web browser, which I've obviously got set to, which we've talked about, Browser Ninja, but nothing to do with the Finder. And these options at the bottom, where you have a recent items menu, and you see it in documents, apps and servers. So you will have recent available. How many items do you want showing in there? And you've got none, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 or 50. Most people stick to sort of somewhere between 5 to 15. 10 is the default, and I just leave it be. You may have a tick in allow handoff between this Mac and your iCloud devices, and I would love to have that tick too. But the next time that works will be the first. So I've turned that off. My problem with that is to do with the keyboard. When I got my 27-inch iMac, 27-inch 2017 MacBook, iMac, the keyboard would lock up. And I mean lock up for like 3 minutes and then automatically come back. And I'm like, what's going on? It took me ages and ages to find out it was a handoff error. So it would just totally freeze the keyboard. Even turning the keyboard off and on again didn't even do anything. It would come back when it was good and ready. People were going mad saying, is the keyboard broken? This key doesn't work. There was a million messages about it. And then somebody came in and said, just humour me, turn off handoff. And everybody's keyboard just started working again. So the first thing I do with a Mac is turn that off. I have no desire to be working on a file and then pick up the iPad and carry on working on that file. So for me, it's easy to turn that off. If you ever have a problem with your keyboard, you might want to turn that off because it just doesn't work properly. Okay, so we've done everything that's in the general section that has had a big impact on that. But it's not actually to do with the Finder yet. The Finder also has, in addition to the system preferences, it has its own preferences. Obviously, you get to those with Finder Preferences. And what you've got in here, we'll start with General. These are all to do with just the Finder. So anything that you specify in here isn't going to impact anything else. It's just in here. So first of all, do you want to see these items on your desktop? And the default is, I think, that you do. So let's move this out of the way. Let's say we want to see the hard drives on the desktop. It means internal drives. So that's the internal drive. You can turn on external drives, and there they all come on. I haven't got any CDs, DVDs or iPods, and I don't think I've got connected servers, or have I? Yes, I have. Okay, so I can turn that one on, you won't see anything, but those I actually have. And that is the default for a Mac, only it's not, is it? No, they don't look like that. If you put stuff on your desktop, and we've seen Mike's desktop, haven't we? Can we quickly have a look at your desktop, Mike? Have you got any items on it? Oh, bless, he's lost.
No.
Well, why don't you put 2 items on it? Well, turn on your drives. Go to your Finder, go to Preferences, turn that on. And we'll have a look at it. He's doing it, he's getting there. If we don't want Inception, you're going to have to change that out of the way. Jolly good. Right. First tab. He's on tags. Right, hang on. I'll switch you so you can see Mike's screen. Right, you turn your hard drives on. Right, not quite the same as mine, are they? Mike has the information underneath. If we then go back to mine, I choose to have more information, but mine is sideways. I have it on the right hand side of it. That way I can see much more information about those drives. Not that I ever have the drives showing on the desktop. But anything else I put on the desktop will look like that. So I'll show you how we do that shortly. But this is just to show you that you can turn these things on the desktop, or you can turn them off. You can also decide when you open a Finder window, so literally when you're in Finder and you say new, where does it go? So new Finder window, where does it go? And my thing here is going to Dropbox. It's showing me the Dropbox folder. And that is because that's what I specified in here. But you can choose anything in here. It doesn't even have to be, you know, the machine itself. Mine's called Mohawk. It doesn't have to be the Macintosh HD or any of these that it thinks you might want. You can choose any folder to be that folder. So most of the time, I used to have it set to Google Drive, but now primarily my files are in Dropbox, so I set that to Dropbox. That again is a huge time saver. Because other than that, it will open up somewhere and you'll be like, oh, I have to navigate to where I want to be. So that's a quick time saver. Then you've got the option to open folders in tabs instead of new windows. And I don't want a million windows. I do want them in separate tabs. So that's what I do in there. Then you've got tags, and you can arrange your tags in here. I'm going to come back and look at that when we finish this dialog box, but that's where your tags are. You can add new ones, you can take tags away. You can also control what is shown in your sidebar. This is an important one for me because I don't want stuff in there that I'm not going to look at. I'm not going to need. I never need to see the movies folder or the music folder or the pictures folder. And if I do, I have other ways to get to them. So I've left the recents. I've left AirDrop. That's pretty much because it never works when Mike's trying to AirDrop something. I do leave the applications because sometimes you do actually need to get to there, drag and drop something on it. And I do leave the downloads because I use that a lot. And I've chosen to leave this because if I leave my user folder, I can quickly get to all of the others without clustering up the sidebar with stuff I don't particularly need. I have chosen to leave all the iCloud stuff because I do, it's there. I won't say I use it a lot, but it's there. Then you've got locations, and they are pretty much all ticked in there. Hard drives, not all of them, according to that, but I would have thought it needed to be. So we'll put a tick in the box. But you can take these things away. So if we look at this little window that we've got here, and we go down, right? So there's applications. We could turn these off. So we can turn applications on and off. It will then come back. Now, where's it put the applications? I've just ticked it and put it back. And he stuck it right down the bottom, which is absolutely useless. It needs to be exactly where it was, which was that under recents? No, it was under my drive by the look of it. there. Okay. So you can turn them on and off at will. Oh, we've got another It's Midnight, and I've got all my backups running. Let's get rid of that. So that's what you're controlling in this sidebar. The tags might be useful because, as Renee said, tags are underrated. Tags are incredibly powerful when they're working correctly. I don't use them that much. I do, but in a kind of ad hoc way, where I'm working with some files and I'll just think, do you know what, I'll just mark that as red or green when it's done and then take it away. I don't actually create tags with names and use them in that kind of way. I did once read this almighty article, I think it was 30,000 words, it was basically a book, all about tags and how tags work and how they implemented them in the very early versions of OS X. And it was fascinating. It really was. A lot of thought had to go into it to make tags work. It's something I probably should invest more time in, but I've just not bothered. Then you've got your advanced stuff here. You can choose at Finder level to show all the file name extensions. I don't do that, I leave it to it. But you also have a more granular way of handling that. So I haven't got a file in there, but let's go into this folder and we'll do the Sublime thing. I think Sublime's there. Right, a test file. Right, and we will save that into there. And we will make sure that that is a text file like that. Okay, so let's get rid of that. We have a text file in there now. Let's move that across to the right so we can see it. And you can see the extension, but that's not ticked. So why am I seeing the extension? Well, it can be controlled on a 1-by-1 file basis. It's not always in here because you have a more granular way of doing it by looking at the get info in the file itself. And there is an option in there to hide the extension. I'll be looking at default folder. I have that planned for a subsequent week. So by putting the tick in hide extension, it takes it away in there. So it's just a more granular way of working with it. Right, the next one. Show warning before changing an extension. That can be useful if you are uncertain, but I don't bother doing that because I know what I'm doing. So there are times I do change the extension, usually from nothing to an actual extension. So I've downloaded something, it should have been a PNG, it's not saying it's a PNG, and the Mac's having a complete fit, not knowing what it is. So I don't want to be reminded, careful, because I know what I'm doing. I don't want to see any warnings before I remove something from iCloud, because again, I know what I'm doing. But if you want to see the warnings, then you can turn them on in here. There's also warnings before emptying the bin. That's one of the first things that I change on my Mac. Again, I know what I'm doing if I'm emptying the bin, and I don't want reminding about it or not. If Renee hasn't already got default folder, then this is costing him a fortune tonight and heading into Saturday's expenses as well. Right, then you've got remove the items from the bin after 30 days. I know people who use the bin as a filing area. They will go in and there'll be stuff on their desktop and they'll put it in the bin. And I'm like, but you don't want to delete it. No, but it's out of sight now. It's like the drawer on their desk. They don't think of it as being the bin. They think of it as a storage location. But the problem with that is if there's a tick in the box there, they will get deleted after 30 days. I also know people who have had gigs worth of information in the bin. So you might want to think carefully about how you use the bin. Right, then you've got some options that are Windows based. So if you're moving to a Mac from Windows, Windows sorts the folders to the top. Do you want to keep the folders on the top? Now on a Mac that doesn't happen. So if we go into, I haven't got any folders in there, have I? I think I've got some in here. Well, let's have a look. If we turn that on to there, right, I should have a folder there. That Apple event there would be at the top on Windows, because Windows sorts the folders first. I had to struggle so much to get used to that on a Mac. But now you've got the option to say, no, if you're in a window mode and I'm sorting by name, tick in the box, the Apple event will go to the top. Or on the desktop. Now, I'm used to it now, so I'm not going to be looking for the files at the top of the list. But if you're coming to here from Windows, you might well be. Right, and then you've got, and again, this is so important, down the line for when you're working. So if we look at that, it's saying when performing a search, where do you want to search? Where do you want to start? And so current folder is not the default. I think it's search this Mac. But I set that to search this folder. So let's say I'm in here and I'm looking for QR codes. I can just go to the top and put QR, and the default location for searching is here. So the search domain is either the entire Mac or just this folder or shared locations. And if we stretch that out a bit more, you can see them. So what you're doing in here is saying anytime I do a search, search just this folder. You change that to this Mac, and whatever you type in up the top, it will search the entire Mac. You do get the opportunity, just like you've got now, to flick between them. So if I wanted to search for QR codes on the entire Mac, let me put in QR code and then the dash, and there will be some that appear. So let's do search this Mac. That's going to take a whole lot more and bring back a whole load of rubbish that shouldn't be there. So that's why I leave it set to the folder, and I'm going to be searching through that folder. Makes sense to me. Or you can search through anything that's shared with you. Right, so we're in there. You're all coming up with grand ideas. I am going to be looking at Hazel. That's another one that's on the list. That helps with the trash. That can manage your trash, and it can also automatically move files from location to location. So it's on the list to do. This is a Finder series. It's not 1 week. Trust me, can't do the Finder in 1 week. So what we're doing now is getting this configured, and as far as we can take it, but we're going to carry on next week. So I've got Hazel on the list. I've got default folder. I've got how to spot. Oh, there's a whole range of apps that can help you with the Finder, but we're just sticking with vanilla Finder for today. Right, so we looked at tags. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this and go back to where we had the tags, which I think were on here. Okay. Tags are where you will take something. So we'll take this work in progress, and you can right click it and you can give it a tag. Now the tags that are listed on here are your favourite tags. So if I want to make this red because I've not started it, what I then tend to do is come back in, take the red off, go back in and add the amber. I'm now in the middle of working with it, and I work through until the point I get to the green. So I take them off and I add another one. Okay. So that works great, doesn't it? But tags can be so much more than that. And as you've seen in the tags, we've got the standard coloured tags, but as we go down, we've also got other stuff in here. Next presentation. Now, I didn't create Parallels Virtual Machine. That was not me. I didn't create the toolbox tool either. Don't recall making online only, but I did make next presentation. So that would enable me, in fact, if I tagged all my presentations with like after hours, then I would know it was an after hours presentation. The reason that I probably don't use these as much as I would imagine they could be used for is because I tend to name my files after hours, whatever the number is. So I don't need to search by tag to find them. However, if you're, depending on your file management strategy, tags could well work really well for you. But I found just on a plain installation here, this is a brand new machine, not working properly. There is a reason. So let me show you what the issue is before we actually look at the tags. I mean, basically that's it for tags. You can create a tag if you want. So if you make one and you put an after hours tag, and then you can click in that and choose a colour. So let's choose a colour for after hours. After hours is usually blue, so I'll make it blue. And that's my after hours tag. Okay, so get that out of the way. We can go in here and we can go to tags and we can add an after hours tag. And instead of it saying green and orange and whatever, it says after hours. And now it's got 2 colour dots on it, and the blue one is after hours. Anywhere I can search by using a tag, that's going to come up for me. Okay, so far so good. In what way is it broken? Well, if we look at these Z folders here, they all have the grey tag, don't they? And you know that if I right click and I take that tick out of green, the green disappears. Oh, fantastic. If I go into this and I choose tags and I say, let's take the after hours away, the blue will disappear. Now, the reason that I have to do two different things with those tags is these are my favourite tags. If I want something that's not on a favourite, then I need to click tags and then go into it, and I've got all the tags I need. The favourites are determined in here, the ones at the bottom. Right, so this is the problem. I have 5 folders and they are tagged grey. Or are they? Well, if I go in, yes, there's a tick in grey. So if I take the tick out of grey, what should happen? All together, all at once, it should disappear. Can you find the show that we covered Hazel in and put the link on MacBites FM? I think we did Hazel twice for Renee. So this grey thing, we've seen what happens. You know, if I add purple, they've all got purple. If I right click and I take the tick out of purple, they've all not got purple. Awesome. So we'll right click and we'll get rid of the grey then. Oh dear. If you're in the States, you might not see this problem. If you're in the UK, you very well might see the problem. What's actually happened is, instead of taking away the grey tag, it's added it to it. We've now got 2. Folder 1, folder 2, both got dots. 2 of them. 2 grey dots. That's not what we want. So if I go back and I do it again and think, what went wrong there? I've still got the tick in the box. Well, let's take the tick out of the box. What's going on now? Different things are happening. Okay. Right, it's happening in the UK because how do we spell grey? If you're not sure, it's easy to remember. E for English, A for American. So let's have a look what macOS did for me. Lovely, lovely. We have a grey tag with an E. We have a grey tag with an A. Fantastic, Apple. Whose idea was that? You remember when they renamed the trash to the bin? They tried to make it English, proper English. Colour has a U in it, all through the interface. And grey has an E in it. But unfortunately, not everywhere does grey have an E in it. Sometimes it's got an A in it. So while they look the same, and while they tentatively behave the same, they're 2 completely different tags. So how do we know which one's applying? Well, these bottom 3 here, let's get that out of the way over there. Oh, where have you disappeared to now? No, not you, this one. Come on, over there, out the way. Right. If I select them all, right, and I right click on it, what you need to do down here, add red, add orange. Aha. So if I move across to this grey, it's adding grey with an A. Okay. Renee solved the problem of spelling it completely differently. It's only in the UK I think you're going to see this problem, but it does show you how you may, be thinking, oh, well, I've added, just a minute, no, I've not, because it's not doing what I would expect it to do up there. If I add grey to that lot, the top 2 are getting 2 grey tags. That's because they had grey with an E in it. So basically, pick one and stick with it. So in the favourites in here, if you look at it, I stuck with the A because I'm thinking, if I get files and they're from abroad, they could well be, and then it all starts again. The tags start multiplying in here, and then I don't know which is actually grey. So this tag up here, we can just delete it. Are you sure? You will remove the tag and remove it from 2 items. And the 2 items are the top 2 there. I know, they want shooting, Kim, don't they? It's ridiculous. Because you're just making it complicated. I already clearly had the one with the A in it. But in this country, it's an E. Oh, whatever. Right, now I can use this properly. So if something like that ever happens to you, you add the purple and then different things happen. It could be it's got a different tag on it and it's not actually purple. Because if we look in here, we do have the after hours tag, don't we? So if in these things in here, we went in and we went to tags and we chose after hours, brilliant, then they all get a blue tag. But we could also go in there and right click and add a blue tag. And now we've got 2 blue tags. So they are amazingly powerful. They really are. And if you are diligent in using them and consistent in using them, they'll be amazing for you for file organisation. But do be aware of situations like that, particularly if it's subtle, where they're both called grey. And I'd gone, remember when I went bracket blind? I'm looking at the grey and I'm thinking, well, that should work. What's going on? So I then said to Mike, because he doesn't use tags at all, I said, can you just check me something? And he had both of them as well. So I think it's Apple trying to help out the UK. If they could possibly step away from the keyboard, I'd be very grateful. Because stuff like that, I know I could have gone in here and sorted it out before now, but the fact was I didn't. And every time I added a grey tag, which I'll talk about more next week, but when I added a grey tag, the Finder was using one spelling of it and Pathfinder was using a different spelling of it. Genius. Because obviously Apple had redefined it, but Pathfinder hadn't. All the other apps hadn't, and hence I was breeding grey. Could you rename it? You could, but you don't particularly want two tags called exactly the same either. And what had happened was I'd got two tags. Mike had two tags. Mike's never used a tag in his life. So it's on an install. I thought it could be because I'd had files that were tagged grey, but apparently not. It's not. You wouldn't hold it against me if I mix them up. Consistency is the most important thing. You are very tempted to say not started, in progress, done. But then you've got the other colours, and I do use these. I do. Let's have a look. Here's one of my parad drives. And in my areas, I've got MacBites. And in MacBites, I've got Marooned. And in Marooned, I have source files. And they've all got the green dot, apart from the ones that aren't actually done. But green is just green. It doesn't say, oh, this is MacBites Marooned. This means this. It's just green because it's complete. We also have that in my areas. If we go to Brooklands programs, these are all programs that are in progress. You can see that one's actually finished. So within the projects folder, they're ready for a template or they're not started. And these two, they can actually have that taken away because they're all now in progress. But this one is complete. So as soon as I see the green dot, I know it's complete. But I don't take it to the level where I actually name the tags. I have no idea whether that would be a good idea or not. I just think keep it simple and be consistent. If I ended up with 5 different green tags, confusion would start. It would also make it difficult to just right click and take it away, because the only ones you can take away are your favourites. If you want to manipulate the tags on here and add extras, then you need to go into there and start typing whatever it is. So I don't do much in those terms. I do use them, as you can see. If something's like these would be retired, I'd probably put a grey one on that, and that's probably when it would all start. Kim, seldom's use the grey, not so pretty in dark mode. I wish they'd give you more colour options, particularly if you're going to create a dark mode, seriously, because some of them don't stand out well. I mean, the yellow isn't particularly great in light mode. If they'd give you a few more options, that'd be really great, but no, they've not. Okay, so we've taken it quite away, haven't we? And we've actually only gone through the options that were in the system preferences and then gone through the Finder options in here. We have much more to do, but we will catch up on that next week. The plan for this is I'm going to go through the Finder bit by bit. Don't want to overload you because there's so many options that if you've never set them before, you could go away and try and set those now and you'd have about 20 options to play with. Next week, we'll carry on with the Finder, and in subsequent weeks, we'll look at Pathfinder, Forklift, which is another great one, and all the applications that you can use to enhance the Finder. So Hazel, How to Spot, what was the other one I mentioned? Default folder. There's loads. Even Alfred. Alfred does amazing things. These are really easy to set up, and I'll share them with you. But I use my downloads folder a lot every day. There are folders that I use frequently. One, for instance, would be all the comms, all the emails that we create. And in Alfred, if I start with F and then put something after it, like C, there's the comms folder. And it helpfully opens up on the other page, but there you go. There's loads of stuff that I use like that. If I want to see the audio hijack folder, There's the audio hijack folder. That's actually recording to right now. But I navigate my file system with shortcuts. What's another one that I use? Dropbox screenshots. And they're in Dropbox. This one, it's opened up again on the other window. There we go. But there's all my screenshots, and there's thousands of them. 2,600 and odd. And that's only going back to Christmas, I think. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't only going back to Christmas. Let's have a look. Yeah, not even Christmas. 9th of January. Take a lot of screenshots, what can I say? They'll be all for manuals and stuff that I'm creating. But I navigate using Alfred. I don't even bother with the Finder. The Finder will come up based on what I type into Alfred. So we will be looking at all things Finder-ish. You will be experts by the end. Is he still awake for the unboxing? He's not, you know. He's not. I think he went to sleep during MacBites. This week at MacBites headquarters. Possibly petrified. It was as bad as the cows, wasn't it, guys? This week was frightening over there. Right, in that case, let's head off back into here where we do have an unboxing. Now, before we unbox, Mike's going to need to take that because I wasn't anticipating the dog to be where she is. She's disgusted with me. I've got a little table next to me that I've got a computer on, and she's not happy. So she's blocked my way to the toilet as a punishment.
Oh, she's awake now.
Oh, she's up now. She's up now.
Where are you going now?
I was being spoken about, Daddy, so I decided to leave.
Why don't you go on your bed?
Right, let's see what we can see with this. Oh, you're going over there now? Well, just before you do, can I have that box? I need the box, or there'll be nothing to unbox, will there? Right, there's the box.
Lola.
Right, I'm going to put that down there. I'm going to have to put it. I'm going to have to put it upside down and then get it shared with you so you can see it. Right, let's do that thing to share it. Right, it is unboxed already. You see my clock there as well. In terms of it, it's out of the Amazon box, but it isn't unboxed in terms of itself in here. So I'll get into it. But we don't want to see the front of the box, do we? Or it'll give it away. We want to see that bit of it. There it is. This is heavy. That, for the size of it, is amazingly heavy. Which is just as well. Because in here, there is hopefully... I'm glad to see it's what I'm thinking it is, because it'd be bad news if it wasn't, wouldn't it? It is a stand. It is a stand for an iPad. I think you can put a laptop on it. And it's folded up like that. So it's all folded up. But... you know how that new monitor from Apple, the expensive thing, is straight? This is supposed to be the same. So we can have it like that. And obviously you're going to need to grab that somehow. That's the thing there. But this bit is supposed to come up, there it is, and actually hold an iPad straight on like that. That's the plan anyway. It does tilt back, but it only goes that far. So the idea is it holds it up straight. Unless you tip it forward that way, in which case the iPad would tilt back a bit. I always have my doubts about anything that says it can hold a 12.9 inch iPad, particularly at that angle. So, shall we try one? One 12.9 inch iPad. Right, will it fall over? Oh no, look at that. It actually holds it. There we go. We turn that on. No, it wants things, doesn't it? But there we go. That is a 12.9 inch iPad stood on it. And is it straight? It's actually bang on straight, that. So I'm quite impressed with that. There we go. And of course you can tilt it if you want it that way, and you can tilt this forward or backward to a certain point, but you can't take it any further back than that. But oh dear, we've got a very dark shadow on that, haven't we, Mike? 1 second. You stay where you are. I just need to turn a light on. And I never ever get the right one. There we go. Dark shadow gone. There we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a bit better then. So let's turn it round so you can see that. I think we need to tilt it up a bit so you can see it. There's that. So I thought I'd give it a go because it's a little bit taller than some of my others. And I quite like the idea of it being straight like that. Not bad at all. In terms of this bit here, These kind of twang up so it folds flat for travel. And that bit there, this here is all rubber, the whole thing, which is interesting. Some of the stands I've got, like this one here, I use quite a bit. So let's see if you can see that one. That looks like that. It's metal, but this tilts a lot. Pain with this one, the rubber feet never stick on. So I've got 2 rubber feet missing here because they just fall off. That one will take a 12.9 inch. It will. But can you see the height difference? There's a big height difference in those. A big height difference. So that's what I was thinking in terms of, will that work very well? This one isn't so heavy. That one is very, very heavy. So this base at the bottom is solid metal, but it is encased in plastic. It's not just got a metal thing screwed onto it. So yes, there it is, and it works. So I'll try it this week, and I will report back on does the iPad fall off and hit me on the head or something drastic like that. But at the moment, no. I'm particularly liking the fact that that folds up, the way it folds up, in terms of that goes down and that goes over, that these bits here do fold flat. These are the bits that are stuck out, but there comes some kind of spring-loaded thing going on with them, where they spring out as you move it. I guess you could have it that low as well if you wanted it, but I'm never going to want my iPad that low, am I? No, that's never going to work. If I did that, I'd be tilting it, but there you go. Now, that wasn't that expensive, which makes a change, doesn't it? I know that's what you're thinking. Right, let me get into there. Why are you not moving? That's better. Right, oh, hang on. Now it's moving too much. Okay, let's get in. Have you got the link and are you putting it in MacBites FM? Oh, we've had fun with the links today, haven't we? That is what it is. And that is also the 12.9 inch iPad stood on it, I do believe. It's a lot cheaper than you would think. Probably the least expensive thing we've talked about all night, I would say, with that. Let's go through it. Have you got the price? You've got the link, I think. I think I paid about £8 for it. It may be somewhere between sort of 8 and 12 now. But it holds virtually anything.
$12.99.
$12.99. But it's very frequently on offer. So as you can see, it just gives you a bit more flexibility no matter what you're actually standing on it. So sometimes I must have about 20 different iPad stands. And you know, you've seen me unbox iPad stands.
The link's in MacBites FM.
Awesome, the link's in MacBites FM. I just have different ones for different things. And just like the cases make a huge difference, you know, I feel that the stand makes a huge difference to what I'm actually doing. One of the things that's fantastic on it is the Kindle. You know, I usually hold a Kindle, but I didn't this time. And I'm not doing too bad with it, let's put it like that. Like the adjustable height with it, so I think it depends on your chair as well, but useful and inexpensive. So I think Renee could have that. Oh, it's scaring you, the wobble. It wasn't wobbling that much, to be honest. I think it was just me touching it, but no. I was surprised it didn't fall over as well, particularly with a 12.9. But it didn't. It was quite stable, and that was at the point that it's at 90 degrees to it. Obviously, if you tilt it back a bit, then it's even more stable. But I wanted something that was virtually flat. So like the Apple monitor, basically, like that. And for the price, I was impressed. And that iPad is heavy. That is a heavy iPad. It's not the last gen, it's the one before that. And I even had the white one on it, and the white one is the gen before that. And that is heavy. That needs a handcart to carry it. Anyway, that was what we had this week. Young Jonathan will be catching up in the morning and spending money. Right, what have we got coming up? Oh, I can't believe we're only just over a week away from Mad May. It's getting madder by the minute with all I've got to finish before Mad May. But the plan is that every Sunday in May we will be going live at 3 o'clock and we will be doing designy things. So we're starting with a data merge deep dive in Affinity Publisher. That's the 2nd of May, 3 o'clock UK. Sorry about that in the States, 7 in the morning or 10 o'clock. But it will be available on replay. But you need to be there live, don't you? You know, to see Mike get his backside kicked out of YouTube again and stuff like that. The fun that we have. We're also still marooned at MacBites headquarters every single day, where we are still having a ball. They're going to be absolutely fantastic. That we've done the Apple event, and we've got WWDC just around the corner. So every day we've got news to discuss about whether we think it's good, bad, or indifferent in terms of what we're getting at the moment. And obviously with the iMacs, bad. Hit with the ugly stick. We are also going live again next week, same time, same place, different date. 30th of April, but 9 o'clock, as ever. And everything we do is available on demand. You can get that at youtube.com/ElaineGiles, where we have a dedicated After Hours playlist. It has every show we have ever done on it, which goes all the way back to November 2018. And first thing I do after the show is make sure that today's gets added to it. If you want to re-watch, feel free, but we aim on a Saturday afternoon to have the clickable links up there. But it depends on YouTube's mood with Mike, and if today's anything to go by, might be Sunday before that's ready. But we do have clickable links underneath so you can go straight through. Oh, Carol's stand is ordered. Excellent. Oh, Mike v YouTube, the sequel. Oh, yes. Mike strikes back like the Empire. We hope. We hope. I want to hear, Carol, what you think of putting a Kindle on it if you've got one. Or even the book. I've actually got the book. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that myself. Tell you what we'll do. We'll do that right now, just so you know. I am not kidding you. I am not kidding you. Look what I have here. It's a paper. And do you know what's doing my head in? When I turn this round, you'll all be freaked out, because I was. Oh, that's the book. Look at the print. Oh, I'm going to need a new pair of glasses. Seriously. And that's how far we got in our read-through, which was page 5. We'll speed up, obviously. No, do you know what will freak you out? Look at the spine. It's going the wrong way. I'm going to have to put a label over that, or it's going to play with my mind. Shouldn't that be the other way? Or is this some kind of... is it a German thing? Do they put them on the spine that way in German? I don't know. But no, it's going the wrong way. We need to stop this. But that could hang up nicely on that stand. It could. Right, let's get back over there where we were talking about. Right, yes, so there is a playlist, and the playlist... Oh, God, why isn't that moving? This plays with my mind every week. There we go. macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist will take you straight there. There is also After Hours, Marooned at MacBites headquarters, where there is a feed. Oh, indeed. Young Jonathan catches up using the feed. So that is a podcast feed that you can put into your podcatcher, or you can scan the QR code and get there. I know, Kim, can you imagine looking at that spine all day? It's like I'm going to have to put a label on it. And actually, the spine is on the white bit, so I could do just that. But it's so distracting. And I know it's one of these things that I'm going to have to get over. But every time I look at it, I'm like, no, it's the wrong way around. We need to tell Bo, don't we? So he can tell Zunka, please fix it. Oh, but I wanted the paperback copy because it's got that kind of... the tactile bit of where you are in the book, which a Kindle just doesn't have. Kindle's fantastic for highlighting and searching and stuff, but I just had to buy the book as well. Right, so everything we do is on MacBites FM. At the moment, all the links are on MacBites FM. It's a good job we've got a plan B, isn't it? We love you guys. If you love us, could you give us a like? It really makes a difference. And hopefully, if you do, YouTube won't make off with them, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. There is my mailing list, which is elainegiles.com/VIP. And that is where you will get first dibs on everything I do, including Mad May. Then there's the MacBites list, which has got all things MacBites, and that is macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. Then there's the Slack room. Oh, you need to join the Slack room. We have great fun in the Slack room, like seeing that it's snowing where Paul is and it's almost May. I mean, you don't want to miss these things. It's like incredulity. It's snowing. It's as bad as here. But Slack is where we carry on the conversation. Completely free. It is at macbites.co.uk/Slack. So do join us. And that's where you can find us. Yeah, I've been doing the Twitters. I installed a Twitter client. 4 months later, I thought, oh, I've not got Twitter. So I installed a Twitter client. and I put one account in it. And all I've done is create a list for book club, and that's the only thing I'm looking at. Because my real genuine feed, I love these people. I've known them for years, but if one more person mentions Brexit or COVID, and there was also the American election. So by the time I'd finished nuking hashtags, I thought, you know what? Just make a list for book club and look at that before you give yourself a coronary. So that's what I've done with it. Right, hope you have enjoyed that. Now, is young Jonathan asleep? Is it called?
Kim's already called it.
Kim's called it. Oh, when was that called?
About 10 minutes ago.
Excellent. In that case, I'll go sort that out. I think I need some leniency this week anyway, Kim, because the spine is driving me insane. Isn't it strange, the things that drive you crackers? But that's one of them. Right, let's do this then. That is where we were up to. So let me head into here on that one. I never get the right block, And one to me, young Jonathan. He'll catch up, He'll catch up. It'll just take a little bit of time. But good morning to you, Jonathan. Hope you enjoyed the show. Right, we better head off, haven't we? Because we've got a busy day tomorrow. And do you know what, Mike? I'm starving again. When did I eat? Was it about 6 o'clock? Oh, it was a long time ago. I need a midnight snack. I need to go and find something that I like. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kim. Now, I hope you enjoyed the Finder series as we go on. And we add depth to our file management. That's what we'll be up to. Right, let's put that back over there. Like that. And we'll head off. But we will see you again next week. And of course, we are going live tomorrow night with Marooned at MacBites headquarters at 7 o'clock. And we're following that at 8 o'clock with Brooklyn's 196 by request, where the theme is St. George and all things English. So anybody called George fits. But we got some great ones, haven't we? I love the way that Frank and Pauline picked the same song as Ellen. And it's quite an 80s song. But we've got some classics, so do join us for that.
A bit of a Venn diagram, that.
Oh, Peter says, are we calling it for the year looking at that, Scott? No, because if there's a bank holiday, if we put a show on a bank holiday, it's a 2-pointer. That's how come Jonathan's got 2 points. He managed to make it to the end of the show on New Year's Day. Of all times, he managed New Year's Day, which I was amazed at. Not been so good since, but you never know. Young Jonathan might surprise us all yet. Until it's mathematically impossible, we should stick with it. And we will. Oh, he isn't getting beaten, he's getting mad. Yes, I think he is due for a comeback. You never know, that's what I'm saying. He could totally change his work hours, and before you know it, he's beating me. You never know. Anything could happen, I'm telling you. Anything could happen. So we will head off at that point. Let me do that. I can do that. That's excellent. So next time, we're looking at the Finder. Mike's, you're carrying on with your infographics, aren't you? Oh, we've got a thread going here because we've also got advanced Canva. We'll be doing real things in Canva and sharing them around. And we'll do some other stuff as well. If you want anything covered, let me know, and we will add it to our list. But for the moment, I'm going to say a good night from me.
Good night from me.
We'll both see you next time. In the meanwhile, stay safe, guys.